close the doors of your mind from all carnal will, all carnal thought, all emotions, all desires, all fears, all laziness, all doubt, anything in your lower self that it doesn't allow you to come to your higher self, within yourself, within your inner being, within your inner thoughts, within your 12 cranial nerves, within your hypothalamus, your pineal, your hands and your feet, your axons and dendrites, your corpus callosum. These are your gates of your mind, the gates of your eyes, the gates of your ears, the gates of your mouth. For today is a day of freedom. Today is a day of warning. Today is the day that Yahuwah has given to us as a Shabbat, that we may cease from our labors and our work within ourselves and selfish self, that we may understand what it's like to do things in 6 days and rest the seventh. For even as the Father does these things, a son can only do what his father does. Whatsoever sees the Father do, the Son and the daughter does likewise. So this yom we acknowledge the one who made all of the har of the earth, the mountains and the streams and the rivers who are his servants, all the trees and the eights of every single place on earth, the one who allows all of them to sprout forth in their seasons, in the 4 transition times of a 364-day cycle on the 7 celestial circles, the one who gives us life and understanding within, allows us to transition from one state of being to a next. And even as one thinks something is dead when they shed their leaves, they immediately come back, because the sun is going to rise eventually. And the day dawn and the day star arises, and the leaves and the trees and all of the branches that bear fruit yield up and they reach for the sun, even as the natural sun, for we know that Yahuwah is our sun, and his rays has touched us. And allow his rays to touch you. For today, this yom, even as on the 7th day, the sun still shines. And we know that the light of Yahuwah Elohim exists on the inside. So as we move forward, we'll move forward in kindness, ahab, joy, peace, patience, meekness, temperance, samuna. But most of all, we'll move forward in love, ahab, frequently more humble. I move forward in ahaba, knowing that these things allow things to be joined together in the harmonic frequency as the one who sits in the highest Shamaim, Yahuwah Elohim, and allows us to be one with him. For Yahuwah is love. He is love. So this is the book of Nazarene Acts of the Shalakim, suggestions of the old serpent. Right? So the old serpent is an ancient serpent. He's older than over 6,000 years old. Right? And how old are we? Only less than that. Way less than that. But here it says, this is chapter 27. It says, above all, therefore you ought to understand the deception of the old serpent, and his cunning suggestions, who deceives you as it were by prudence, and as by a sort of reason creeps through your senses and deceiving you a great gain. So when we talking about destroying all the carnal and all the things in our mind, we want to close our gates. Why? Because Satan's around, right? Because that's the only thing he does. He wants to deceive you. It's a great gain for him, just like any other gain in the world. Whether you're in a stock, a bond, an ETF, whether you're in a bottom, or you say you buy low, you sell high. Right? All these, he's just a great gain. Therefore, he enunciates in your minds opinions of Elohim Yahuwah of whatsoever kind. So in your mind, your thoughts, that's the battleground. That is the battleground. Mental thoughts. Satan comes like a mental telepathic wizard, sorcerer, and necromancer. That's how he operates. Only that your sins become is his comfort. Why? Because when your sins become comfort, that's the only way you can stay there. As long as you stay in kata'ah, or sin, how you say sinah, which is that's hatred for Yahuwah, that's the only way he can stay in your body. That's the only way he can stay there. But if you start ingesting things that he can't stay there anymore, then guess what? He has to leave. It's just like anybody that has diseases, parasites, just like a person who has an infection or any types of things. You have to put things in the body in order for him not to get comfortable. It says, for his immorality was condemned from the beginning to eat dust. Right? That's what happened with Adam, because he was in the serpent. He was from the beginning to eat dust. For that he caused to be again resolved into dust him who was taken from the dust. For the man, Adam was formed from the Adamah, and he breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and Adam became a living being, a living organism, a living body. And he caused that same body that Yahuwah wanted to dwell in, guess what? He caused it to be resolved to dust, because it was an immortal body. Yahuwah wanted to be an immortal. But therefore he made him, how you say, temporal. How you say he made him immortal. Right? And guess what? Even till the time when your beings will be restored, being brought through the fire, as we will instruct you more fully at another time. For him, therefore, proceeds all errors and doubts. So any type of errors you have in your life, any doubts that you have about Yahuwah, his Amunah, right? Satan just hijacked your mind. Like he just hijacked your car, your vehicle, your body. He just hijacked it and started driving it around himself. It says, by which you are driven from Amunah, faith, in being belief in one Elohim Yahuwah. So there's only one Elohim Yahuwah. There's only one Elohim. So that's what he does. He tries to get you to believe all these Elohims. It's that one. But he's like, nah, there's only one Elohim Yahuwah. And everybody that's under that Elohim, all the gods and the goddesses and all the Elohims that's under him, they have to obey the one who sits in the highest Shamayim. And guess what they have to do? They have to submit to Yahushua Mashiach, his son. That's the only way. But he said all errors and doubts. Right? All errors and doubts. This is Hanuk, First Enoch, 101, the Pseudepigrapha, Old Testament, Volume 1. It says, examine the Shamayims, you sons of Shamayims, and all the works of Yahuwah, and be afraid to do Ra in his presence. So you look at everything that you've seen. From, we just passed the equinox, then we went into the equinox, the spring equinox. Now we're on the fourth day. Fourth day from the time that from the time when the sun started to pass the ecliptic plane, when day and night was even, right? 12 hours in the day, 12 hours in a day, 9 hours, right? Congruently passing each other. And then you look at the trees, you look at everything. You look at the constellations, you look at Mazzaroth, right? You look at all the movement patterns. And it says, if he closes the windows of Shamayim and hinders the rain and the dew from descending upon the earth because of you, what will you do? So if he stops the rain, the Geshem, and the dew from coming to the earth, man, what are we going to do? I know I need food. I know I need bread and seed to sow. I know that. I know that the animals need it. So what do you think you're going to do if you don't have no rain and dew? Or if he hinders, or if his anger, or if he sends his anger against you and your deeds, is it not you who would entreat him? Because you utter bold, hard words against his righteousness, you shall have no peace or shalom. He said you ain't gonna have no peace. There ain't gonna be no peace. There ain't gonna be no river sounds. Like when you go by the river and you hear that river flowing, there ain't gonna be none of that. That's a peaceful place. Because you know that river sound blocks out all sounds. It's a peaceful place. He said there ain't gonna be none. Can you imagine? Well, most people can't imagine because they've never been, but that's a flowing stream. Your flowing stream in your mind won't be peace anymore if he hinders that. This is First Enoch, Aleph Hanuk 5:1-3. I observed how the trees cover themselves with green of leaves and bear fruit. You need trees. Why? You got to observe them. Because if you don't observe the Shamayims, if you don't examine the Shamayims, if you don't examine the trees and the leaves and how they bear fruit, how you going to understand spiritual things? How you going to understand something spiritual? Something that's unseen, that comes from an unseen force. Guess what he says? Now observe all this and learn how he who lives forever has made all these for you. So if he made it for us, then it's better that we use them. How his works are before him in every year that comes. And so in every 364-day cycle, when you go from the longest day to the shortest day, going from Kareth to Keats, going to early winter, going from late winter to early summer. He said all that stuff comes every single year. It's fixed. And all his works serve him. So everything that you see serves him. The streams, the rivers, the trees, the animals, the creatures of the earth, the insectoids. Everything you see, it serves him. So therefore, man, human beings, both male and female, is a Karnakubah. Has to do the same thing. We serve him too. Are not, he says they serve him and are not changed, and you shouldn't change either. Once you know Yahuwah, you don't change either. But as Yahuwah has ordained. So everything takes place. It all takes place because he ordained it. Because if you're in a place and the trees are budding and the spring rain's coming down and everything's operating, it's because he wanted that. And you can see it clearly. He wants it that way. Verse 3. And see how the seas and the rivers together accomplish their work. They all accomplish it. They all working. You want to see some work? Go to the ocean. You'll see the waves moving, and the wave caps. Go to the river. You see the water moving. They're all accomplishing something. They're all succeeding in what they're there to do. That's water molecules, right? And they're going to continue to succeed. But Yeshayahu 55:10-11. For as rain and snow come down from Shamayim and do not return there, but water the earth, making it bring forth sprout and giving seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so shall my debar be that goes out of my mouth. So it's just like water that comes out of a person's mouth. Would you drink something that comes out of somebody's mouth? You put the water in your mouth and you put it in somebody else's mouth and in their mouth. Would you do that? Well, guess what? That's what Yahuwah does. He like a mother nursing a child. Right? You have some animals that chew the food in the mouth, and then they put it in the children's mouth just so they can eat properly. Right? And they'll do that for them, especially when they ain't got no teeth. Right? But it says right here, making it bring forth sprout and giving seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so shall the debar be that goes out of my mouth. It shall not return to me empty, but it shall accomplish that which I purpose, and shall succeed in the thing for which I sent it. So if he sent it in you to accomplish a work, then guess what? It's going to accomplish it, whether you like it or not, whether it's good or whether it's evil. Right? So it's just like anything, right? It's just like all things. So he said, Ken Yahuwah Debar, right? We know Debar is what? That's the word, Asher. He said, so shall the Debar be that goes out of my mouth. Asher, Yitzhak, right? Maki, La. It says, shoot. It shall not return. Right? When it says, Uhasalak, Amer, Hashelak, right? It's gonna, from which I sent it. It's gonna succeed too. And it's always gonna succeed. Because when the rain and snow come down, because some people have cold hearts. But then when the sun comes back in the springtime, it melts the snow, and then that cold heart melts. And then guess what happens? It flows. That's why Yahuwah is our sun. It melts your heart. It should. It should melt your heart, and it allows the river to flow smooth, right? This is the word for rain is Geshem in this verse. It's shower, rain shower. It's a shower, right? If you ever went out in the rain, most people run from the rain. But if you go out in the rain and let the rain hit you, let it hit your hair, your body, your skin, it's different. It's a different type shower. Right? It's a shower. They have rain showers. They try to create one in your house, but they have a rain shower. But you go outside, that's the real rain shower. Right? You got what? The word for snow is shaleg. Right? White as snow. It's cold. But that's just during the cold season. But when the rain come down, it's still gonna be cold, but it's still rain though. It's just frozen rain. Because when it gets to the time we are now, in springtime, as the sun starts rising more and more to the 90-degree angle, to the ecliptic plane, then you're gonna have what? The snow melts, and then it becomes water. It becomes water for the animals. It becomes water for you. The word for it shall succeed is selak. I mean, it calls you to advance forward, just like a river. A river can cut through rock, it'll cut through forests, it'll cut through your house. If it's in the way, it'll move your car down the stream, it'll destroy everything. Because Yahuwah is sending his spring rain right now. And if your house in a flood zone, just understand, your house is gone, no matter where it is. He's sending that river down, he gotta accomplish what he got sent to do. And if you can't understand natural things, you can't understand spiritual things. He's gonna accomplish it. He's gonna make your way prosperous, right? He's gonna bring food for you. It's going to bring success, issues. It's going to bring all your issues to success. It's going to allow you to push forward, to rush. Because eventually, if you're standing by a river and you get in the river and you stand there long enough, the water keeps flowing, and eventually, it's going to wash you clean. It's going to clean off all your dirt. It's going to wash you forward. Everything going to be washed down the river. It says advance forward, right? It says, 1 Enoch 49:1. So wisdom flows like water, and kabod is measureless before him, forever and ever. So it flows just like flowing streams. For his might is in all the mysteries of righteousness, and oppression will vanish like a shadow. So when Yahuwah sends his mysteries and all his righteousness and his wisdom, oppression leaves, and it will vanish like a shadow, having no foundation. Just like a shadow has no foundation. You ever seen a shadow is gone? It's gone real quick. No foundation, which means it has nothing to take all the weight Or he say all of the hurts and the pain, all the things that you endured, you ain't gonna have nothing. You ain't got no foundation to sit on. Right, just like you build a house, or you measure out the bottom, then you put concrete down. Depends. The elect one stands before Yahuwah, the master of spirits. His kabod is forever and ever, and his power unto all generations. From the time that Adam was created into the world, and he said when he was brought here to the world with the sun, moon, and the stars shine, up until now, in this year of what they call with the kings and the elites and the princes and the rulers and the archons and the teaching that they call 2024. All the way to this day. In him dwells the Ruach of wisdom. The spirit that gives thoughtfulness. The Ruach of wisdom gives thoughtfulness. It should be your thoughts. Thoughtfulness. Because remember, Satan's trying to get your thoughts. He's trying to oppress you. Error and doubt. So wisdom is in your thoughts. The Ruach of knowledge and strength. And the spirit of those who have fallen asleep in righteousness, not in sinful ways. Right? Not in somebody else's bed. It ain't your husband or it ain't your wife or things of that sort. Not doing things, not dying and falling asleep that way, or falling asleep stealing somebody's car, or stealing somebody's money, or stealing somebody's land. He shall judge the secret things, right? And no one will be able to utter vain words in his presence. So all the secret hearts and the secret parts of your body, your joints, your marrow, your DNA, right? He has a DNA code, DNA strand. You ever seen the movies where they hit the button and they show the DNA strand? They have all this twisting and this spiral, and they're able to edit the DNA and see what's on it. That's what he's going to do to your lifestyle, your life. Right? He says, you can't utter a vain word in his presence. For he is the elect one before Yahuwah, the master of spirits, according to his good pleasure. The master of spirits. The master of spirits. So when you look at this person, this individual, he said he's the master of spirits. The master of spirits, right? So this is Bereshit chapter 1, 9 through 13. And Yahuwah Elohim said, let the waters under the Shamayim be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear. So you look at all the dry land appearing right now. Right? You look at the spring rain coming down, he said, what? Let the dry land appear. When Noah got off his ark in the first day of the first month, he said the dry land appeared. The dry land came. All the land, it all dried up. He was able to see it, and it was so. And Yahuwah Elohim called the dry land Yabashah, right? And the earth, he said dry land. He said dry land earth, or he said the dry land the Yabashah Adatz, or he said the dry land earth. And the waters that were gathered together he called seas, or Yam. And Yahuwah saw that it was good. So you talk about the rivers and the streams accomplishing his work. Yahuwah gave a command in the beginning for the rivers and streams to come forth. And guess what? The dry land came, and then the waters came. Guess what? It was good. He said, I made all this for you. He made all this for us. And Yahuwah said, let the earth sprout vegetation, plant yielding seed, and fruits bearing fruit, in which is their seed, each according to its kind on the earth. And it was so. So he made that for you too. And the earth brought forth vegetation, plants yielding seed according to their own kinds, and trees bearing fruit, in which is their seed, because every tree ain't the same. There's some trees that have certain type fruits, certain type of different understanding, but they still bear fruit. They have a different attribute, a different healing property, a different seed, right? A different color, right? They got different leaves. Every tree ain't good. A banana tree is different from a palm tree, but they still bear fruit though. They still bear fruit. A spinach blossom is different from a lavender blossom, but they still have properties that are used. Different colors too. And they sprout seeds differently, each according to his kind. And Yahuwah Elohim saw that it was good. So Yahuwah liked that. And there was evening and there was morning, Shali-Shiyum. So all that, he did all that. He had to put some water here first. He had to put some earth, and then he had to have some trees. That's how the trees were able to come forward. And that was the third day of creation, right? The third day. Right? Yahuwah called the dry land. That word for dry land is Yabashah. Yabashah. It means dry land, dry ground. He called the Yabashah, the dry land, to come. Yabashah. Right? The word for earth is Aratz. Right? He said, and you will call the dry land earth, the Yabashah Aratz. Right? That's the word for earth, and it's the whole earth, land. They say the whole earth. You know how they say Mother Earth? The Mother Earth, the whole earth can take seed in and sprout forth vegetation. You feel like that's the only land to do it in. That's Mother Earth. The whole earth is Mother Earth, the motherland. The whole earth is the motherland. The Aratz is the motherland. The earth, the inhabitants of the land. Right, the country. Right, it has Sheol in there because why? You could be planted in Sheol too, just like you could be planted here. There are trees under the earth too. They have underground caverns and caves and rivers and streams under the earth too. It said the whole world, land of the living. That's a whole Mother Earth. That's a living earth. And guess what? When you look at the earth, you look at the dry. He said dry land appeared. You look at all that. That was virgin land. That whole land that he planted them seeds on, that was all virgin land. It never yielded anything before. It was all virgin land. It was all virgin land. All of it. Right? It's Bereshit 2:4-7. These are the generations of the Shamaim in earth. When they were created, in the day that Yahuwah Elohim made the earth and the heavens. When no bush when no bush of the field was yet in the land, and no small plant of the field had sprung up. Why? Because it was a virgin. It was all a virgin. It was a Bethula. It was all a virgin land. And ain't nothing happened yet, ever. For Yahuwah Elohim had not caused it to rain or matar on the land, on the Adatz. And there was no man to abide the ground, the Adama. It was virgin land. It was all virgin land. And he said there wasn't no man to till the ground. And he has not caused it to rain. It was all a virgin. Guess what it said, verse 6? And a mist was going up from the land and was watering the whole face of the ground, the Adama, this virgin land. All of a sudden, water started coming up. He said it started coming up. Then Yahuwah Elohim formed Adam from the dust of the ground, the Adama, the very virgin land. He had a virgin land and nothing came up, nor sprung up. Then he made Adam from that very same virgin land. And he formed Adam from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and Adam became a living creature. Now he's a virgin. He a virgin too. Right? That word for rain, he has not called it to rain. That word is matar, not geshem, but it's rain. It means to rain. It means to rain on or upon. So Yahuwah had never, caused it to rain on the earth. He didn't cause it to, which means if he didn't cause it to rain, that means he didn't send any rain. And it says rain, hail, right? It means to rain, to bring rain, right? That word for mist, and a mist was going up from the land. That word is ad. He said he made the earth a virgin, but then all of a sudden, it added something to it. It added a mist, a fog, a vapor, a mist. Because remember, he said the word was the rain, and then he allowed the earth was a virgin. But then the earth, then all these other prosperous things started to happen. So it started to mist. What's this mist coming up? It's just added. He added that. It was added to it. Right, he said, seek ye first the Malkuth and all his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. You'll get missed. He'd be like, man, it's on auto. He said, yeah, you have no need that no one teach you. For the anointing that's already in you teach you all things. And guess what's going to happen? As it has taught you, abide in him. It's going to be like mist. It's going to just start, be like, man, you got rain and snow, your things starting to growing. And then now, guess what happens? Now you got mist, and now all these other stuff starting to spring up. You're like, man, where that's coming from? You're like, where that's coming from? This Devarim, chapter Deuteronomy 32, 1 through 2. Give ear, O ye Shamaims, and I will speak. And hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. Right? That's what he was doing in the beginning. The earth was hearing the words of his mouth. My doctrine shall drop as the matar. That same word for rain is matar. That same thing he did in the beginning. He was talking to the earth. He said, all the Shamaim, he said, these are the generations of the Shamaims in the earth. And he said, I was speaking to it, and guess what? Rain came down. Here's what he says. My doctrine shall drop as the rain, matar, and my speech distill as the dew. Just like the dew. As the small rain upon the tender herbs, and as the showers upon the grass. The same thing he did in the beginning, the same thing he did, he speaks to the heavens, the Shamaims, and the earth. He sent the matar, and he said, my speech shall distill like dew. You know, distill, that's like, just like when rain gets down to its like smallest, it's not a flood, it's not on top of the world, it's a flood, but it goes down, and it sinks down into the soil, but it's still damp on top of the soil. And it says right here, it says, as a small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass. Because I will publish the name of Yahuwah. What do you think he was doing? In the earth, in the beginning. He was publishing the name of Yahuwah in the earth, in the beginning. That's what he was doing. People say, how am I going to get it out? He's like, you got to publish it. He's like, I'm going to say it. Yahuwah's like, I'm going to say it. I made the earth. He said, guess what he said? And ascribe ye greatness unto our Elohim. That's his greatness. He said, I made all these things for you, both male and female, and Yalad, the Shemesh Kurim in the yard, the sun, moon, and the stars. He said, I made all this for you. He provided all this for us. But he said, just like the rain, that word for drop, he said, my doctrine shall drop. That word for drop is araf. It means to drop, to drip. He said it's going to drip, just like, that's how his doctrine just drips, just like that. It said drop down. We mean it comes down, it drops down. Right? The word for distill, he said, my speech shall distill as the dew. The word for distill is nazal. He said, my doctrine shall drop as rain, and my speech shall distill, or nazal, that means to trickle. It means floods, it means drip, it means fresh water. Remember we talked about fresh water. Can salt water bring forth fresh water? Fresh water allows things to sprout up. So when you see seeds in the yam, in the beginning, you have to understand that was fresh water. How you think vegetation was able to sprout forth? That wasn't salt water. That was all fresh water. And it says right here, flood, streams. It says flood, to drip. When they say drip, right? That word for dew, he said, my speech shall distill as the dew. And guess what? The word for dew is tall. Tall. It means dew, mist. He said, I want to be taller. He said, it's going to have to be like mist. It's going to be just like the dew on the ground. Your soil has to stay in a certain state. But he said, I will make you taller. But they use the word tall. They say, stand tall, right? That's what they say. Stand tall. But when you start looking at dew, that allows a tree to stand tall. Right? You ever seen a tree that loses a lot of water, it just hangs over? Right? He said, stand tall, just like the dew. Right? This is Ode to Solomon, Ode to Shalom, chapter 40, verse 1. It says, as honeycomb drips from the honeycomb of bees. So you look at that, as honeycomb drips from the honeycomb of bees. So we looked at rain and snow, it's just like it's the bar come out. Now let's see some other things. It says that milk flows from the woman, and milk flows from the woman who loves her children. So a woman can have, he said, milk, he said, it'll flow from you if you love your children. So also is my hope upon you, O my Elohim Yahuwah. So he's saying, just as the honeycomb drips from the honeycomb of the bees, Right? So you look at bees. He said, so as milk flows from a woman who loves her children. Like, all of that encompassing in a woman. But let's see, mostly Proverbs 24, 12 through 10 through 14. If you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. Rescue those who are being taken away to death. Hold back those who are stumbling to the slaughter. Right? So he says we're like sheep led to the slaughter. He said you're stumbling there. He said stone the stumbling, rock of offense. But he said right here, verse 12 says, if you say, behold, we did not know this, does not he who weighs the heart perceives it? He said, I didn't know this. Does not he who keeps watch over your soul know it? Who keeping watch of your soul? You who never slumbers nor sleeps. Get what it says, and will he not repay man according to his works? Verse 13, my son, eat honey. He said, my son, eat honey, for it is good. And the drippings of the honeycomb are sweet to your taste. What do you mean, drippings of the honeycomb? Why we tell you eat honey? People call it honey bee vomit. How you see honey? He said bee vomit. It comes out of their mouth. That's where it comes from. The same way the bar comes out of his mouth, and it's like rain and snow. He's telling you to eat. He said, my soul hopes for you, Elohim, just like the honeycomb and the bees. He said, my word is like honey that comes out of a bee mouth. He said, know that wisdom is such to your soul. So he said, wisdom flow like water. Oh, now he's saying wisdom flow like honey. He said, so as wisdom is such to your soul. If you find it, there will be a future. So you think about it. So he basically saying it's hard to find a honeycomb. He said it's hard to find a honeycomb, just like it's hard to find wisdom. He said wisdom, you ain't gonna just get it, right? He said he gonna make it's not gonna be something that's easily attainable. He said so is wisdom to your soul. He's saying his wisdom is just like honey, and if you find it, you will be a future. Why? You're gonna find out, and your hope will not be cut off, right? So I mean, you ain't gonna die. And then he said you'll have a future if you find it. The word, he said, my son, eat honey. That word for honey is debash. Debash. It means honey, honeycomb. Right? There are many words in Hebrew when it comes to honey, but it means debash, right? So if you know do the math, you got the daleth is 4, the ba'ith is 2, the shun is 300, which equals to what? 306, which equals to 9. Which equals to 9. But he said, my son, eat debash. He said, why would I eat honey? He said, so should the Barbie that goes out of my mouth. It's just like wisdom. It's sweet too. You know how somebody said, or a woman says, that was really sweet what you said. That was sweet. And amazingly, we say these things as humans. But then Yahuwah's like, look at that. That's me. He said, that's me. Right? And he said right here, my son, eat honey, for it is good. The dripping of the honeycomb, right? That word for honeycomb is nafad. Nafad. It means flowing honey. He said what? He said, my wisdom flow like water. Man, my wisdom flow like flowing honey. Honey from the comb, dripping down. I say just like the rain. Matar, right? Drip, drip, but it's dripping down like the honeycomb. He said, honeycomb. He said, eat the bash. Right? So what are the benefits of honey in the body? Right? So who is like, eat my honey. He said, just like the honey that comes out of you, depend on you is the honey, the bees and the honeycomb. He said, so my soul depends on you. He said, my son, eat honey. Why? He said, it is good. Let's see what happens. Benefit of eating honey in the body. Honey has beneficial properties like treating infections, fighting metabolic syndromes, preventing artery hardening, and supports the healthy gut. Honey may become alternative to antibiotics. Since traditionally, honey is used as a treatment for eye diseases, bronchial asthma, throat infections, tuberculosis, thirst, hiccups, fatigue, dizziness, hepatitis, constipation, worm infection, piles of eczema, healing of ulcers in the wounds, and used for nutrition as a nutritious supplement. You were like, my son, daughters, what y'all doing? He like, eat honey. said, honeycomb? They got bees around there. They gonna sting me. He said, honey, guess what he said? Honey and honeycomb. Honey is another useful product for dental health. The ferments destroy harmful microorganisms in oral cavities. Chewing honeycomb helps to effectively clean teeth from plaque. He said, my son, eat honey. My daughters, eat honey. The components contained in the honeycombs have a pronounced anti-inflammatory or antimicrobial effect. He said, it's good. Eat the bush. Eat the fox. Eat honeycomb. He said, yeah. He said, eat honeycomb, right? So you look at honeycomb, right? You notice where you find the honeycomb. It depends on where it's at, but you'll find it, he said, attached to a branch. Attached to a tree branch. Amazingly, they put it right there in the tree. People like, man, it's bearing fruit. Right, so you look at a honeycomb, right, you're gonna find bees around it. Like, man, there's all these bees around it. Right, they said there's bee vomit inside of here. Right, that's exactly what it is. It's bee vomit. They put it in there. It comes out of their mouth. That's why Yahuwah's like, so sure that the Barbie that comes out of my mouth, it's just like honeycomb. It's flowing honey. It's good for you. He said, why would it be in these areas? It's in tree branches. It's high up. And amazingly, when you look right here, what do you see? You see the intelligence of the bees who makes it. Right? You see a hexagon. You see a hexagon, all in between. A hexagon. And inside a hexagon you find honey. And we ain't talking about no hex. We're talking about a hexagon, right? And all this is a part of what? Bees making something that's food that who is like, it's good for you to eat this. And we just see all the properties that it does for your body. But let's see. Right, so you look at a pentagon is a geometrical shape, which has 5 sides and 5 angles, right? So you look at penta denotes 5 and gon denotes angles. So you're looking at 5 angles, right? All these are a part of it. All these are a part of it. Right? And it says the pentagon is one of the types of polygons. Like, I didn't add this up, I didn't make this, right? But it says right here, what is the pattern of the pentagon in math? It says, what are the 3 attributes of the regular pentagon? It says all 5 sides must be congruent. So where you see inside of a honeycomb, there's 6 sides. But a pentagon is a part of the polygon family. Right? You got the hexagon, the pentagon, right? You got all the part of the polygon family. But it says right here, all 5 sides must be congruent or equal in length. And all 5 interior angles must measure 108 degrees each. And all 5 exterior angles must measure 72 degrees each. Amazingly, when you start looking at these hexagonal measurements, the hexagon measurements, what? 108 equals to what? 9. 72 equals to what? 9. Right? The Bosch equals to 9. Amazingly, right? The Bosch equals to 9. When you add up the numbers, right? And it says, what is the full meaning of a hexagon? In geometry, a hexagon can be defined as a closed 2-dimensional polygon with 6 sides. So it has 6 sides to it. A hexagon has 6 vertices and 6 angles. 6 and 6. Right? Also, right? So it has 6 and 6. Right? And look at what it does. 6 and 6 equals to 12. It says in giant hexagon, it says from Greek hex, meaning 6. It says a corner angle is a 6-sided polygon. The total number of the internal angles of any simple non-self-intersecting hexagon is 720 degrees. 720 degrees, and amazingly equals to 9. And amazingly, the same honey that the Bosch that Yahuwah told you to eat equals to 9. And amazingly, you can see the intelligence of it. And amazingly, they're hanging in a branch. And he said, my son, eat honey, eat the Bosch. Matter of fact, eat the honeycomb. You get what he said? If you find honey, he said it's gonna be. He said you won't be cut off, and you'll have a future. He said you'll have a future, which means it's going to heal your body. You see how all that stuff it heals? It's going to allow it to give you length of days and long life. It's going to allow your body, your natural life to extend. He said if you can't understand natural things, ain't no way you can understand spiritual things. Right? So who eats honey? A bear, a teddy bear, a grizzly bear. Giant bears, they eat honey. They love honey. They do. And amazingly, what do they eat? They eat these things during the time when the honey's out. Because when the bees come out, they come out in the springtime. Bees come out in the springtime. When the bears come out? In the springtime. And amazingly, they all working together to help each other. So you got the bees, right? You see him in there, he's looking for that honeycomb, right? So you got the bears looking for the honey. And what the honey gonna produce for them? They're going to get nice gut, nice bowels, they're going to heal all their diseases and everything. And then guess what? People say, how do bears are able to hibernate for so long, for 3 months without eating? You don't ever see them out. He said, well, how come is that even possible? And bears are a lot more intelligent than you think. The bears are a lot more intelligent than you think. Right? And people's like, how are they able to do that for 90 days? They're a lot more intelligent than you think. Right, so they eat honey. You got bears with honey. They love honey. Bears with the honey. Right? That's what they love to eat. Right, depending on where they are. Right, so this is Book of Proverbs 16, 23 to 25. The heart of the wise makes his speech judicious, and adds persuasiveness to his lips. Gracious Naam words are like a honeycomb. It's just like, oh, that's so sweet. It's just like a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and health to the body. Gracious words are just like honeycomb. Honeycomb is good for the body, and eating it, just the bar is the same way. The bar that comes out of his mouth, the honeycomb that comes out of the bee's mouth, is just as good for the body as Yahuwah's the bar. There is a way that seems right to a man, but the end thereof is the ways of death. Why? Because you're eating no honeycomb. You see all this stuff it heals? Guess what happens if you do it? You'll live. The same thing, the bar that you eat and it comes out of it, you'll live too. You'll live, you get eternal life. We're all destined for death. But there's no need to die early. He said, why you be overly wicked? You die before your time. To be overly wicked is not to do what your father said. Right? This is the book of, the word for honeycomb in that word is suf. It means honeycomb. Dripping honeycomb. Right? A honeycomb. He said dripping honeycomb. Suf. Right? The word for healing, it says it's going to be health to your body. It's marpeh. He says it's going to eat the honeycomb, it's sweetness to the soul, and health to thy body. The bar is like that. It's health, healing. It's a medicine. It's a deliverance. So you think about all the things that one can be delivered from, with not only naturally, but also the bar, you do it naturally, but also the bar that you can do spiritually. Because notice how the honey rids you of all the diseases in your body. And the Yahuwah's Dabar does the same thing that rids you from all the diseases in your body. If you do what the Dabar says, then guess what? It actually works for you. If you don't do it, then it will kill you. So it's either one. Either I do it, it'll give me life, or if I don't do it, it'll give me death. And guess what it says? It means healing. Health brings healing. It's going to heal you. But the only healing one gets is when one does what the bar says. Right? This book of Psalms 19, 7 through 10. The law of Yahuwah is perfect, the Torah, reviving the soul. What is it going to revive? Reviving the soul. The testimony of Yahuwah is sure, making the wise simple. The precepts of Yahuwah are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of Yahuwah is pure, enlightening the eyes. You know what honey did heal? Didn't honey heal eye disease? So the fear of Yahuwah is clean, enduring forever. The rules of Yahuwah are true and righteous together. More to be desired than gold, even fine gold. sweeter also than debauch, dripping of the honeycomb, the fire. It's sweeter than that. Just like natural honey, he said it's sweeter than that. Just like rain and snow, it gives you more refreshing than that. Natural and ruach, unseen. He said it's sweeter than the debauch, right? It's in Exodus 22:6-17. If a man seduce a virgin who is not betrothed and lies with her, he shall give the bride price for her and make her his wife. If a father utterly refuses to give her to him, he shall pay equal to the bride price for virgins, right? We spoke about before about the bride price. We understand that the bride price had to be paid in order for a man to marry a virgin, right? When we look at all the things that take place, right? We just talked about how the earth was a virgin land, and we know that Adam was a virgin, and he was formed from the same virgin land, and the earth brought forth grass, plants yielding seed after its kind, and that was a virgin land. And you see all these things taking place. There is a price that had to be paid for that to happen. And then people say, how does that even work? How does that even work, right? How does that even work, right? This is the book of Joshua 15:13-19. According to the commandment of Yahuwah, to Joshua, he gave to Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, a portion among the people of Yehudah. Remember, Caleb had to wait 32 years. He stilled the people. He was like, man, look at here. We can well go up and take the kingdom. And they didn't want to do it. So he had to wait because of other people's unbelief. And Caleb drove out from there 3 sons of Anak. These are giants. Shishai, and Heman, and Talmai, the descendants of Anak. So he put out 3 giants. And he went up there against the inhabitants of Debir. Now the name of Debir formerly was Kirjath-Sepher, because there was another people who came in. Because we know when when people invade a country, they change the name. Because it was formerly Kirjath-Sepher, but it was Debir now. Why? Because when people come in and wars fight, they change your name. It's like they change your name if they bring you as a slave. They say, nah, your name ain't longer that. You're this name. It says, and Caleb said, whoever strikes Kirjath-Sepher and capture it, to him I will give Aksah, my daughter, as a wife. So he's literally saying this is the bride price. Whoever strikes Kirjath-Sepher and captures it, to him will I give Aksah, my daughter, as a wife. So he's literally saying this is the bride price. This is the price you got to pay to marry my daughter. Because I could spell 3 giants to marry my daughter. And you think you're going to marry my daughter, you ain't going to do nothing similar? So, what is he insisting? His daughter is a virgin. She's a virgin. He has to pay the price in order to get her. She's a virgin. And Athina, the son of Kenaz, the brother Caleb, captured it. And he gave him Akash, his daughter, as a wife. And guess what? He did it. And when he paid the bride price, he's like, see what I just did? He said, look at that, muscle memory. Right? So now her daughter, who's a virgin, looking up to him like, man, you the man. Why? Because you just did what my father did. Get what it says, verse 18. And when she came to him, she urged him to ask her father for a field. And she got off her donkey, and Caleb said to her, what do you want? And she said, give me a blessing. So you see him, she already got a man who took a whole city. And then now she asking for a blessing. Since you have given me the land of Negev, give me also springs of water. She said, you already gave me the land. He said, give me springs of water. And he gave her the upper springs and the lower springs. Right, so he gave her the upper springs and he gave her the lower springs. Right, the word for springs, he said he gave us the springs, is kula. It means bowl, a fountain bowl. Springs, a fountain bowl of springs. The word for upper is ili. He got upper springs, Galul, and he gave him ili. Is the upper springs. We got lower springs and the upper springs. It's called ili. It means what? Upper, high. He said, give me the high springs. These are the upper springs. And he said, give me the lower springs. He said, give me springs of water. Give me the upper springs and the lower springs. So how you gonna do that? Right? It all has a meaning. I say this, okay, upper springs and lower springs is takati. Right? That word for springs was gilo. Right? The lower springs is takati. Takati is lower. Right? It says takati, the lowest, the depths. It says pit, the wound. Give me those springs, the lower parts, the beneath. Takati, the nether parts. So give me the upper springs and the lower springs. Give me springs of water. Give me the land. And there's a virgin daughter asking for this. His virgin daughter is asking for springs of water. I want the upper springs and the lower springs. And guess what he gave her? His virgin daughter asked for that. Are you going to get through this? This is Aleph Shemuel. You're going to see some things here, right? 17, 1 through 16. Now the Philistines gathered their armies for battle. And they were gathered at Sukkot, which belongs to Yehuda, and encamped between Sukkot and Azekah, and Ephes Damim. Right? And Saul and the men of Yasharal were gathered and encamped in the valley of Elah, and drew up in the line of battle against the Philistines. And the Philistines stood on the mountain on one side, and Yasharal stood on the mountain on the other side. So you got on the left and the right, with a valley between them. And there came out from the camp of the Philistines a companion named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits in a span. And he had a helmet of bronze on his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of his coat was 5,000 shekels of bronze. And he had a bronze armor on his legs, and a javelin of bronze slung between his shoulders. The shaft of his spear was like the weaver's beam, and his spear head weighed 600 shekels of iron. And his shield bearer went before him. He stood and shouted to the ranks of Yasharal, "Why have you come out to draw up for battle? Am I not a Philistine? And are you not servants of Saul? Choose a man for yourselves and let him come down to me." Why? Because they're on top of the mountain, on the left and the right. He let him come down to me. If he is able to fight with me and kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then you shall be our servants and serve us. Right? So you look at two different scenarios. You kill me, you be our servants. We kill him, he kill me, we be your servants. But I kill him, you be our servants. So either way it goes, somebody gonna die and somebody gonna be a servant. And the Philistines said, I defy the ranks of Yasharal this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. And when Saul and all Yasharal heard these words of the Philistines, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. He's like, man, give me somebody. Now Daud was the son of an Ephrathite of Bethlehem Yehuda, named Yeshai, who had 8 sons. Right? He had 8 sons. Amazingly, what did Debash equal to? Well, Debash was a 9. But we start looking at the whole compass of it. Right? You start saying, what was it? 8 sons? Right? You know, Yehuda equals to 8. Debar equals to 8. Right? You know, Sa equals to 8. We know Naba equals to 8. Circumcision equals to 8. Right? But it's more things. It says, in the days of Saul, the man was already old and advanced in years. So Yeshai was an old man. The 3 oldest sons of Yeshai had followed Saul to the battle. And the names of his 3 sons who went to battle were Elab, the firstborn. The next was Abinadab. And the third was Shammah. And Daud was the youngest. It says the three eldest sons followed Saul. But Saul went back and forth from Saul to feed his father's sheep in Bethlehem. His father was an old man. For 40 days the Philistines came forward and took his stand morning and evening. All right, so Daud was the youngest, but he was taking care of his father's business. He was taking care of his father's business. And Yeshai said to Daud, his son, take for your brothers an ephah of his parched grain and 10 loaves, and carry them quickly to the camp of your brother. Also take these 10 cheeses to the commander of their thousands. See if your brothers are well, and bring some token from them. Now Saul and all the men of Yasharal were in the valley of Elah, fighting with the Philistines. And Daud rose early in the morning and left the sheep with a keeper and took the provisions and went, because that's responsibility. There's no point in leaving a bunch of sheep if I'm not going to be responsible. It says, and Yeshai had commanded him, and he came to the encampment as the host was going out to the battle line, shouting the war cry, right? And Yasharal and all the Philistines drew up for the battle army against army. And Daud left the things in charge of the keeper of the baggage and ran to the ranks and went to greeted his brothers. Right, so he greeted his brothers. Yeah. It says, and he talked with them. Behold, the champion, the Philistine Goliath by name, came out of the ranks of the Philistines and spoke the same words as before, and Daud heard him. He said, bring out a man to fight for me. And if I kill him, you will be our servants. But if he kills me, we'll be your servants. And now Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spoke to the men. And Eliab's anger was kindled against Daud. Verse 24. And all the men of Yasharal, when they saw the man, fled from him and were much afraid. And the men of Yasharal said, have you seen this man who has come up? Surely he has come out to defy Yasharal, and the king will enrich him. Surely he has come to defy Yasharal. You get what it says? And the king will enrich the man who kills him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Yasharal. So literally he's saying, if he kills this Philistine, he's going to get a woman. He's going to give him his daughter. He's going to give him great riches and make his father's house free in Yasharal. He's like, man, I'm going to make you sure you ain't got to work no more ever in your life. And then he said, I'm going to give you a daughter, which means that's the bride price. That's the bride price. Look, what type of woman you think this is he going to give you? He said the king going to give you his daughter, a virgin. It's going to be a virgin, because that's the price you're going to have to pay. He said, if you do this, I give you my virgin daughter great riches, and your whole family going to be free. You'll never have to work again. Verse 26, and David said to the men who stood by him, what shall be done to the man who kills this Philistine and takes away the reproach of Yasharal? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the king, living Elohim? And the people answered him the same way. So shall it be done to the man who kills him. They're like, man, you're going to get a woman, you're going to get money, and you're going to be free in Yasharal. Now Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spoke to the men. And Eliab's anger was kindled against David, and said, what have you come down? Why have you come down? And why and with whom have you left those few sheep in the wilderness? He's like, man, you evildoer. He falsely accused him. Don't even know he left him with the keeper. And I know the presumptions of your evil in your heart, because foolishness is bound in the heart of a child. But a rod of correction is going to drive far from him. For you have come down to see the battle. And Daud said, what have I done now? I ain't do nothing wrong. He said, what it not but a word? Was it not but a word? It says, and he turned away from him toward another and spoke in the same way. And the people answered him again as before. And when the words of David spoke were heard, they repeated them before Saul. And he sent for him. And Daud said to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him. And we just talked about if your heart faint in the day, reversely your strength is small. Amazing, the David was a small person. He was the youngest. But he said, my son, eat honey. He said, eat honey. He says, your servant will go and fight with this Philistine. He said, I'm going to go do it. And Saul said to Daud, you are not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for you are but a youth. And he has been a man of war from his youth. From his youth. But Daud said to Saul, your servant used to keep the sheep of his father. And when there came a lion and a bear, I took a lamb of the flock. I went after him and struck him and delivered him out of his mouth. And if he arose against me, I caught him by his beard and struck him and killed him. That's the only time you're supposed to kill an animal, when they start to come against you. It says, your servant has struck down both lions and bears, and for this uncircumcised Philistine shall be like one of them, for he has defied the armies of the living Elohim. And Daud said, Yahuwah, who has delivered me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear, will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said to Daud, go, and Yahuwah be with you. Right? Being in a place where lions and bears are. You see, David fighting with lions and bears, keeping sheep, and his confidence arose. His confidence within himself. And by having that confidence, what happens? It allows him to go forward, regardless of what other people may say, regardless of what other people may think, regardless of what his brother thought. He thought he was evil. It didn't matter. He already knew his life, he knew how he was living, and he knew what his confidence was and what he was able to do by trusting in Yahuwah. Right? Verse 38 says, then Saul clothed David with his armor, and he put a helmet of bronze on his head, and clothed him with a coat of mail. And Daud strapped his sword over his armor, and he tried in vain to go, for he had not tested them. And then Daud said to Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not tested them. And I ain't been training him with them. I haven't been training with them. So Daud put them off. Then he took his staff in his hand and chose 5 smooth stones from the brook and put them in a shepherd's pouch. So people tell me, man, I ain't gonna stockpile weapons. I'm like, you go around this earth, man, there are rocks everywhere. Man, there's more rocks than guns. There's more rocks than anything. You go around this whole earth, you'll find more rocks than anything. He said, you ain't never got to stockpile my weapons. He said, just look on the ground. And there's stones everywhere. He's like, man, these look good. I'll use Yahuwah's creation. And it says, in his hand, and chose 5 smooth stones from the brook, and put them in his shepherd's pouch. His sling was in his hand, and he approached the Philistine. So he took his staff in his hand. He chose 5 stones from the brook and put them in his shepherd's pouch. So he had his staff and he had 5 stones. That's it. And his sling. You get what it said? Because we know the 5th letter of the alphabet is what? The hey, the ha. It means behold, light, reveal. He said he only took 5. And amazingly, he used the very same things that come from the Arats. He using that very same things that Yahuwah created to fight the battle with the giant. Right, so the word for staff, that word for staff is makel. It means rod, staff, Rod. He took his staff, his makel. It means rod, staff. Then Daud said, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. He had his staff in his hand. He had his rod in his hand. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. He had a staff in his hand. And it says what? Sticks. It's a stick. That's what he had in his hand. And guess what? Exodus 12:11. In this manner you shall eat it, with your belts fastened and your sandals on your feet, and your makel in your hand, your staff. He had his staff in his hand. That's all he had, a stick and 5 stones. It says, and you shall eat it in haste. It is Yahuwah's Pesach. Notice how he's doing everything fast. And he got a staff in his hand. Let's see what happens. And he got a staff in his hand. Right? That word for 5 stones, that word for he chose 5 smooth stones. That word for stones is a bin. He chose 5 smooth stones. That's all he needed. He said, all I need is 5. He got 5 fingers. I got 5 of them. That's all I need. It's like one, that's not me punching you in the head, right? It says right here, common stone, a precious stone. It's a stone. He said, I got 5 smooth stones, right? So you look at the olive, you got, in the word of ben, you got the olive and the bite and the noon. Right, so you got the olive, you got the ab right here, it's father. And you got the son, it's ben. And guess what? When you add up the bith, the bite and the noon equals to 52, right? And then you got what? You got the olive, you got the ab equals to 3, because you start adding up the Aleph and the Bith, you got the Aleph is 1, the Bayith is 2, that's 3. Then you got the Nun is 50, and the Bayith is 2, that equals to 53, or 52, I'm sorry. 52. Equals to 52. 52 plus 3 equals 55. Which equals to 10, equals to 1. He said what? Aleph and the Bith. He said, I got a bin, I got a stone. That's just like one stone. The Father and the Son. He said, I got the Father and the Son. Matter of fact, I got it 5 times. Father, Son, Father, Son, Father, Son, Father, Son. He said, that's all I have. And when you add up the Aleph and the bin, Aleph, Bayith, and Nun, it's a bin. You got the Aleph is 1, the Bayith is 2, the Nun is 50. Which equals to 53, which equals to 8. Equals to 8. He said, Yeshua had 8 sons. He said, this one for the family. This deliverance is for the family. That's what it's for. He said, these 5 stones, he said, this deliverance from this for the family. 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. It's for the family. I'm finna do this for my family. I'm finna do this for my family. That's what he's doing. Because remember, he said, what you gonna get? You get a daughter, you gonna get money, and your family gonna be free. Your family gonna be free by this deliverance. He said, man, make sure you got a staff. He got a staff in his hand too, the Matah, Makel. Verse 41, and the Philistines moved forward and came near to David with his shield bearer in front of him. And when the Philistines looked and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth, ruddy and handsome in appearance. And the Philistines said to David, am I a dog that you come out to me with sticks? Right, you gonna play fetch? So dogs still been the same. And the Philistines cursed Daud by his Elohim. The Philistines said to Daud, come to me, and I will give your flesh to the birds of the air and to the beasts of the field. He said, into the beasts of the field. And Daud said to the Philistines, you come to me with a sword and with spear and with javelin, but I come to you in the name of Yahuwah of hosts. What is Yahuwah's name equal to? 8. We talked about it before. 8. He said, I'm only bringing the Father and the Son with me. That's it. I got 5 full smooth stones, and I'm gonna do it for my family, and I'm gonna deliver them. The Elohim of the armies of Yasharal. That's what he is. Whom you have defied. This day Yahuwah will deliver you into my hand. He said, you're going to deliver me in my hand. I got my staff, I got my sling, and I got my stones. And I will strike you down and cut off your head. And I will give the dead bodies of the host of the Philistines this day to the birds of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know, that the earth may know that there is an Elohim in Yasharal. So he wanted the whole earth to know this. And that all the assembly may know that Yahuwah saves not with sword and spear, because the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Elohim. Sword and spear was taught by Azazel. It was taught by teachings of the fallen, by Amarok and Abaros and Azbaal. Notice David didn't pick up no sword. He picked up the very thing that Yahuwah created, the stone, a bin. The Father and the Son, he believed it. For the battle is Yahuwah's, and he will give you into our hand. And when the Philistines arose and came near and drew near to meet David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet the Philistines. When he said, in your staff, you had a macal in your hand, and then he said, you need to do it in haste. It is Yahuwah's Passat. What is he doing? He's doing it in haste. He got the staff and the sling and the stones in his hand, and he got the staff in his hand. Doing it in haste. And Daud put his hand in his bag and took out a stone. He took out 1, the Father and the Son, a bin. 8, I'm gonna do this for my family. I'm gonna strike him down. And he slung it and struck the Philistine in his forehead. The stone sank into his forehead, and he fell to the ground. And he fell on his face to the ground. He said the Philistine fell on his face to the ground. He struck him in his head. Verse 50 says, so Daud prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and struck the Philistine and killed him. There was no sword in David's hand of David. The weapon, he said, I ain't have no sword, I just had a stone. I only had the things Yahuwah created. What do you make a sling out of? The stuff that Yahuwah created. Where you get a rock from? The things that Yahuwah created. Where you get a staff from? The stuff that Yahuwah created. That's where he got it from. He only used the things that Yahuwah created. He said, man, I don't need no sword. That's stuff they made. Azazel, Asbaal, and some Jaza. They made that. I'm going to use the very things that Yahuwah created. I'm going to beat you down. I'm going to beat your teachings down. Then Daud ran and stood over the Philistine and took his sword and drew it out of his sheath and killed him and cut off his head with it. Why? You kill with the sword, you die by the sword. Isn't that what the book of Revelation said? The book of Kazun said, you kill with the sword, you die by the sword. David didn't kill him with the sword. He killed him with a rock. And when the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they fled. Once they see that big giant, they dead. They like, man, look at here. We ain't nothing but 5'2". Got a big gut. We can barely run fast. In the middle of Yasharal, Yehuda rose with a shout and pursued the Philistines as far as Gath and the gate of Ekron, so that the wounded Philistines fell on the way from Sharim as far as Gath and Ekron. And the people of Yasharal came back from chasing the Philistines, and they plundered the camp. And Daud took the head of the Philistines and brought it to Jerusalem, but put his armor in his tent. He like, I'm keeping that. Verse 55 says, and as soon as Saul saw Daud go out against the Philistine, he saw him do it in haste with his staff in his hand and them 2 rocks and all the things that Yahuwah created. He said to Abner, the commander of his army, Abner, whose son is this you? He's like, man, who is this? His father was an old man. He had 8 sons, and Daud was the youngest. And Abner said, as your soul lives, O king, I don't know who this son is. Whose son is that? I don't know whose son that is. I don't even know who he is. Whose son is that? He said, man, all I have was the Father and the Son. All I have was the Father and the Son. This is Yochanan 12:27-33. Now is my soul troubled. What shall I say? Father, save me from this hour. For this purpose I came to this hour. Right? David showed up. He's like, I heard your voice of your Philistines. I heard what you said. But I got my staff, my sling, and my 5 stones of Ben, my father, and the son. That's all I got. You got your swords and your knives. You got your javelins. You got your words. That's what words are. Swords, knives, and javelins. A false accusation. His brother had called a false accusation. In the book of Proverbs says, swords, knives, and javelins. It said, you mischief, you child full of mischief. Verse 28 says, Father, kabod your name. That's why he think he used the stones. Then a voice came from Sharim, I heard kabod it, and I would do it again. The crowd that stood there and heard it said that it had thunder. Others said, a malach had spoken to him. Yahusha answered them, this voice has come for your sake, not mine. Why do you think David said something? Why do you think he was telling it? He told Saul, he told his brothers, they heard it. And then he told Saul. He's like, man, what in the world? He said, Yahusha answered, this voice that came for your sake, not mine. Why do you think he was doing it? Because he's going to go fight this Philistine. Now is the judgment of this world. Now is the ruler of this world be cast out. And when I am, when I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all people to myself. What was the honeycomb man? We saw it in the tree branch. When we first saw that, where did we see that honeycomb man? It was in the tree branch. He said, I'm going to draw all people to me. He said, when I am lifted up, I'm going to draw all people to me. And he said this to show what type of death he was going to die. He said, I'm going to show you what type of death I'm going to die. He said, how tall was Goliath? He was real big. He was tall too. Goliath was tall too. He said, I'm going to show you what type of death I'm going to die. This is the book of Yochanan 6:52-58. The Yahudim then disputed among themselves, saying, how can this man give us his flesh to eat? He said, my son, eat the honey, eat the bosh, eat the nafar, eat the honeycomb. So Yahusha said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, unless you eat my flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. He's like, man, you ain't going to have no future. He said, eat the honeycomb. He said, you find it, eat it. He said, you ain't going to have no life in you. He said, you won't have a future. Whoever feeds on my flesh and drinks my blood has eternal life, and I will raise him up in the last day. I'll give you eternal life. For length of days and long life will be added to you. Eat the honeycomb, eat the honey. But guess what? For my flesh is true food, and my blood is true drink. Man, my honeycomb and the honey, and the froth, and the bosh, man, that's true food. Guess what he said? Whoever feeds on my flesh and drinks my blood abides in me, and I in him. And as the living Father sent me, who sent David to go to the battle? His father. He was an old man. But he made sure he handled his father's business by taking care of his sheep. And then his father sent him with a message to his brothers and to get word. Man, bring some loaves, bring some bread and some loaves and some cheeses and all this to the commander. Bring some gifts. What do you think he's doing here? He's like, man, if you don't eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no life in you. But when his brother heard that he doing the battle, he started, I know your mission for your heart. You left those few sheep. He's like, no, I didn't. I left them with a keeper. What did I do? I didn't do nothing wrong. Because remember, he's doing this for what? His family. What was he coming here to do for these people right here, the Yahudi? He was doing this for his family, because they were all one family. Yasharal, Yehuda, Yeshai, Saul, his brothers, Shamanah, they all his family. He was doing it for his family. But guess what his family do? His family just railed on him. And as I live because of my Father. So whosoever feeds on me, he also will live because of me. This is the bread which came down from Shamayim. Isn't that way Father sent him with some bread to go to the battle? He sent him with some bread to give to his brothers to get some word if everything was okay. But he was an old man. I sent my son with some bread. He said, not like the bread your fathers ate and are died, because remember, natural and spiritual. Whoever feeds on this bread will live forever. He said, you're going to live. Right, this is Yochanan 18:1-4. After Yahushua had spoken these words, he went out to his disciples across Brook Kidron, where they entered a garden. Now Judas, his betrayer, also knew the place because Yahushua had often met there with his disciples. So Yehuda, brought a band of soldiers and officers from the chief priests and the Pharisees. They arrived at the garden carrying lanterns and torches and weapons. they got swords and knives. And they think they got light. I got swords and knives, and I got a lantern. He said, "You look just like Goliath. You look just like Goliath." And Yahushua, knowing all that was coming upon him, stepped forward and asked them, "Whom are you seeking?" Yahushua of Nazareth. They said, "Yahushua of Nazareth." They answered. Yahushua said, "I am he." He said, "Who you looking for?" I'm right here, Goliath, you uncircumcised Philistine." And Yehuda, his betrayer, was standing with him. He was standing right there with him. And when Yahushua said, "I am he," they drew back and fell to the ground. You know what he did after he hit him in the forehead with a stone? He said Goliath hit the ground on his forehead, on his head. He said Goliath hit the ground on his head. So he asked him again. Because Yahushua was doing this for his family. And he asked, because that's what David was doing. So he asked them again, "Whom are you seeking?" Yahushua of Nazareth. They answered, "I told you I am he." Yahushua replied, "So if you're looking for me, let these men go." Huh? Why? Because what did he say to Saul? He repeated the thing, "I'm going to go down and fight these Philistines, this uncircumcised Philistine. I can shoot a lion and a bear. Matter of fact, I plucked them out of their mouth. I took them by the beard too." Amazingly, he said the same thing to his brothers too. He said, "I'm going to go fight this Philistine." He said it twice. And then guess what he did? He said to Simon Peter, and guess what he said? He says, "This is fulfill the word that he has spoken. I have not lost one of those you have given me." Did David lose any of the sheep when he went to go to the battle? No, he left it with a keeper. He was responsible. And his brother falsely accused him. "You evil child, you left those few sheep. And you come here to see the battle." He's fighting the Philistine right here. Then Simon Kof drew a sword and struck the servant and Hakan, the high priest. He took a sword out of his hand. You know, David said, the battle's not mine, it's Yahuwah's. David didn't use no sword. He used 5 smooth stones. He only used the Father, and he only used the Son. And he had his staff in his hand. And amazingly, what he doing right here? He running quickly into the battle. He running right at the Philistines. He running right at Yehuda and all the people with the lanterns and torches. He doing it quickly, in haste, with his staff in his hand. It says, and he said, put your sword back in your sheath. Yahusha said, shall I not drink of the cup my Father has given me? Not my will, but thine will. Man, stop using this stuff. The battle's not yours, it's Yahuwah's. That's what he's saying to Peter. The battle is not yours. You come to me with swords and knives. And he said, but the battle's not mine. But guess what? I come in the name of Yahuwah. The only reason he's doing is that many people may know there's Elohim and Yasharal, and that the whole earth may know this. It says, then the band of soldiers with its commanders and officers of the Yahudim arrested Yahusha and bound him. And they brought him first to Ananias, who was the father-in-law of Caiaphas, the high Kohen that year. And Caiaphas was one who had advised the Yahudim that it were better that one man should die for the people. You know what Goliath said? Goliath said, if bring one of your men down to fight me, and if I die, we'll be your servant. That's one person. But if he dies, you'll be servants to us. It is expedient that one person die. It's expedient that somebody die. It's expedient. Right? This is Matthew 27:27-30. Then the soldiers of the governor took Yahusha to the governor's headquarters, and they gathered the whole battalion before him. And they stripped him and put on a scarlet robe on him. And twisting a crown of thorns, they put it on his head, and a reed in his right hand. They put a reed in his right hand and said, kneeling before him, and mocked him, saying, Hail, Malaka the Yahudim. Then they spit on him, and took their reed and struck him in the head. And when they had mocked him, they stripped him of the robe, and put on his own clothes on him, and led him away to crucify him. Why do you think they're doing that? Remember what David do? He was about to go with the armor. He was about to move forward. He said, nah, I haven't yet proved that. He was about to go fight. He said, I haven't yet proved that armor yet. They led him away to crucify him. But he said, my son, eat, honey. Matter of fact, it'll give you a future too. It'll give you a future. And it'll be healing. And matter of fact, you'll find, if you find it, it'll give you a future. It'll give you a long life. He said, just like rain and snow come down, so shall amount of Barbie that goes out of my mouth. Mark 15:19-21. And they were striking his head with a reed and spitting on him and kneeling down in homage to him. And when they had mocked him, they stripped him of his purple cloak and put on his own clothes on him. And they led him out to crucify him. And they compelled a passerby, Simon Cyrene, who was coming in from the country, the father of Alexander Rufus, to carry his cross. They said to carry his cross. He's like, somebody gonna help carry this. But you see right here, they said, are you the Malaka the Yahudim? What did David end up becoming? The king of the Yahudim. The Malaka Yahudim. Coming to him, but it says in Psalms 118:77-14, and Yahuwah, he said, Yahuwah is on my side as my helper. What did David have on his side? He had 5 smooth stones. He had 5 smooth stones. I shall look in triumph in those who hate me. He had 5 smooth stones. He said he on my side. It is better to take refuge in Yahuwah than to put your trust in man. It is better to take refuge in Yahuwah than to put your trust in princes. All the nations surrounded me. It says, in the name of Yahuwah, I cut them off. They surrounded me. They surrounded me on every side. In the name of Yahuwah, I cut them off. They surrounded me like bees. What do bees surround? A honeycomb. He said, it surrounded me like bees. They went out like a fire among thorns. In the name of Yahuwah, I'll cut them off. Means he gonna kill them. I was pushed hard so that I was failing, but Yahuwah helped me. Yahuwah is my strength and my song, and he has become my salvation. He said, they surrounded me like bees. The word for bee is Deborah. A bee. He said, they surrounded me like bees. It's Matthew 27:27-43. In the governor's headquarters, they gathered the whole battalion before him and stripped him of his scarlet robe and twisting a crown of thorns on his head, and they put a reed in his right hand, kneeling before him, and they mocked him, saying, Malaka the Yahudim. Hail, Malaka the Yahudim. And they spit on him and took a reed and struck him on the head. And when they had mocked him, they stripped him of the robe and put on his own clothes and led him away to crucify him. And as they went out and found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name, they compelled this man to carry his cross. And when they came to the place called Golgotha, which is the place of skull, they offered him wine to drink, mixed with gall. They offered wine to drink and mixed with gall. Amazing, in the book of Yehuda, the Testament of Yehuda, it said, man, if you don't drink wine at all, he said, if you don't drink wine at all, he said, make sure you don't sin and slander. He said, make sure you don't sin and slander. Amazing, he's not even drinking it. But he said, make sure you don't sin with slander. And amazing, what they doing right here? They slandering him. But when he had tasted it, he would not drink it. And when they had crucified him, they divided his garments among them by casting lots. Then they sat down and kept watch over him there. And over his head they put a charge against him, which read, this is Yahusha, the king of the Yahudim. Then the two robbers who were crucified with him, one on the right and one on the left, and those who passed by derided him. That's what you had, the army of Yasharal and the Philistines on one side of the mountain on the left. And those who passed by derided him, wagging their heads. They were all doubting him, shaking their head. Man, you ain't gonna fight this Philistine. And amazingly, they sat down, which means he was way above them, which means he was Goliath. He was Goliath too. They were sitting down, they were looking up at a giant. He was Goliath. Because they are from Yehuda. They all from Yehuda fighting against a giant. Don't even know they fighting against Yahushua himself. Because he both giant and Dawood at the same time. And they from the tribe of Yehuda. Don't even know they fighting a giant. And guess what he said? And wagging their heads and saying, you who will destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days, save yourself. He's like, if you are the Malaka, son of Yahuwah, come down from the cross. He think, but Goliath said, man, have somebody come down and fight me. And amazingly, the people are fighting against the giant Yahusha, and then now you see the people now becoming Goliaths. And now he got to come down. He's trying to tell him to come down and fight them. And now they become Goliath. Now he's Goliath. Now and you see him going right back to David. Now they're Goliath. Now he's David. Now they're Goliath. Now he's David. Notice he's doing all this for his family. He's doing all this for his family. He's shape-shifting right here. He's shape-shifting. It says, saying, you who will destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the son of Yahuwah, come down from the cross. So all the chief priests and the scribes and the elders are mocking him, saying, he saves others, he cannot save himself. And guess what? They surrounded him just like bees. Because he the honeycomb. He the honeycomb. All these people like bees around him. They surrounded him like bees. He the honeycomb. He said, my son, eat the honeycomb. Eat the bash. Eat nafal. Eat the honeycomb. My son and daughter, eat this. He saved others, he cannot save himself. He is the Malaka Yashra, let him come down from the cross, and we will believe in him. He said, eat the honeycomb. He trusts in Elohim Let Elohim Yahuwah deliver him now, if he desires him. For he said, I am the son of Yahuwah. And the robbers were crucified with him, also reviled in the same way. Eat the honeycomb. They did the same thing. Why do you think his brothers from Yehuda and Yasharal were reviling him? His brother reviled him, saying, you child of Mish, you let them few sheep. I know the evilness of your heart. Goliath did the same thing on the other side of the mountain. The two robbers did the same thing. When he came down, Goliath did the same thing. Goliath did the same thing. Goliath reviled him in the same way. When you come to fight with a dog, he said, I'm going to give your body to the birds. They did the same thing. The two thieves. Everybody did the same thing. Right? Matthew 27:45-56. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over the land until the 9th hour. Huh? What was the hexagon? It had 6 sides. Amazingly, what was the honeycomb? Oh, it was a hexagon. It had 6 sides. And then it says, and now from the 6th hour there was darkness over the land to the 9th hour. What was the honeycomb? It was a hexagon. What it hit? 720 degrees equals to 9. He was a honeycomb. And they surrounded him just like bees. Just like bees. Now from the 9th hour there was. Now, about the 9th hour, Yahushua cried out with a loud voice, saying, Aliyah, Aliyah, lama sabachthani. That is, my Elohim, why have you forsaken me? Why have you left? And some of the bystanders hearing it said, this man is calling for Aliyah. And one of them at once ran and took a sponge and filled it with sour wine, and put a reed and gave it to him to drink. But others said, wait, let's see whether Al-Yahu will come and save him. And Yahushua cried out again at a loud voice and yielded the Ruach. Out again. He said, my son, eat the honeycomb. And behold, the curtain of the temple was torn in two, from top to bottom, and the earth shook, and the rocks split. And the tombs all were open, and many of the bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised. And coming out of the tomb after his resurrection, they went into the Kudash city and appeared to many. And when the centurion and those who were with him, keeping watch over Yahushua, saw the earthquake and what took place, they were filled with awe and said, truly, this was the son of Elohim, Yahuwah. But what did Saul say? After all he's seen all these things, how Daud ran into the battle? What did Saul say? He said, man, whose son is this? Saul said, and the man said, my king, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't know. But the people of the Philistines, when they saw David cut off the head of the Philistines, they left. They fled. They was like, man, there really is a Elohim in Yasharal. There is an Elohim in Yasharal. And that the whole earth may know. The only people who did not believe are the people, his family, whom he came to deliver. Because he did it all for his family. His same flesh and blood. They don't even believe. He did it all for his family. Both male and female. Mother and father. Son and daughter. Friend. Companion. Wife. Husband. Children. He did it for a whole family. And guess what? They don't even believe. But the centurion knew, truly, this is the son of Yahuwah. But this is Uchanan 19:28. After this, Yahushua, knowing that all was now finished, said to fulfill the scripture, I thirst. A jar of sour wine stood there. So they put a sponge full of sour wine in his branch and held it to his mouth. And when Yahushua received the sour wine, he said, it is finished. And he bowed his head and gave up the Ruach. Amazingly, when you look at the word for Ben, equals to 7. He said, he done. I'm finished. And today is the 7th day. Today is the 7th day of a new 364-day cycle, according to the celestial movement of the 7 celestial circles and the chariots. It says, Bereshit 2:1, thus Shamayim and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. And on the 7th day, this is today, Yahuwah Elohim finished his work that he had done. And he rested, he Shabbat, he ceased on the 7th day. He done. I'm finished. From all his work that he had done. He finished it. He did it for his family. That's what Yahushua did it for. So Elohim Yahuwah baraked the seventh day and made it Kudash because on it, Elohim rested from all his work that he had done in creation. Why do you think David finished? After he cut the head of Goliath, he said, whose son is this? He said, I don't know, my king, whose son this is. But you just see the son doing the same thing his father do. Both male and female Adam doing the same thing his father do. Doing the very same thing his father did. In the seventh day, he made it Kudash because Elohim rested from all his work that he had done in creation. So if he said, what are you doing for 6 days that makes you want to rest the seventh day? What work are you doing for 6 days that you rest the seventh? Because that's what you have to do for yourself. That's what you have to do during the week. What are you doing? He be saying, are you a servant? Are you an abad? Are you an ashifka? Are you walking in right? Are you repenting? Are you confessing? Are you giving to the poor? Are you bringing forth fruits meet for repentance? Things that's going to allow you to inherit eternal life, confessions, giving to the poor, not people can see. What are you doing? For 6 days you labor, the seventh you rest. And then you repeat it again. And make sure you're creating his image and likeness on the 6th day. Because that's what Yahusha was. From the 3rd hour to the 9th hour. He was in Yahuwah's image. And in the 7th he rested. So therefore he could be in his image and likeness of his father and mother, right? This is Yehukanah 19, 31 through 35. Since it was a day of preparation, so that the bodies would not remain on the cross in the Shabbat, for the Shabbat was a high day, the Yahudim asked Pilate that their legs might be broken, and that they may be taken away. So the soldiers came and broke the legs of the first, and of the other who had been crucified with him. But when they came to Yahusha, they saw that he was dead already. They did not break his legs. But one of the soldiers pierced him in his side with a spear, and at once came out blood and water. He said, my son, he said, you don't eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no life in you. He said, my son, eat the honeycomb. He said, for you'll find a future. And he saw, and guess what I'm saying? And he who saw it bore witness, and his testimony is true. And he knows he is telling the truth, that you also may believe. They're surrounding me like bees. He said, eat the honeycomb. He said, what? Well, he said, blood and water. Yeah, he was a virgin. He was a virgin man. What do you think David was? David was. When he came to fight the Philistines. What was David when he went to fight the Philistines? Right? What was he? This is Luke Oriyah 23, 50 through 56. Now, there was a man named Yusuf from the Yahudim in the town of Arimathea, and he was a member of the council, a good and righteous man, who had not consented to the decisions and actions, and he was looking for the kingdom of Yahuwah. This man went to Pilate and asked for the body of Yahusha, and he took it down and wrapped it in linen and laid it in a tomb cut in a stone where no one had ever been laid. He said he put it in a tomb where no man is laid. When no one has ever been laid. He's a virgin tomb. Just like he was a virgin. He was formed from the Adam. He said it was a day of preparation, and the Shabbat was the beginning. The woman who had come with him from Galilee followed and saw the tomb and how his body was laid, and they returned and prepared the spices and ointments. He said, what was that day for? Everything that he did was to accomplish something. He was doing all this for his family. He was doing all this for his brothers and sisters, for his father. Why? Because he was just like David. He was David. He went to fight the Philistines. He paid the bride price. He said, whosoever fight against, as Caleb said, whosoever fight against Kirjath Sepher, I'll give him my daughter Eskaz. And then guess what after he did it? His daughter got on a camel, she jumped down, she said, Father, give me springs of water. And he said, he gave her the upper spring, which was the high spring. And amazingly, Yahushua was on the cross. He said, if the Son of Man be lifted up, I'm gonna draw all people to myself. He gave her the upper spring, and then he gave her the lower spring to Kedar. gave her the upper spring and the lower spring. He said, how you get the lower spring? When he pierced me in the side, out came blood and water. He gave the lower spring and the upper spring. And then what happens after that? He said, how you get the upper spring and the lower spring? Yahushua said, as rain and snow come down from Shamayim, so shall the bar be that goes out of my mouth. It shall not return to me empty, but it shall accomplish the work. That's the upper spring that I sent it to do. And when he sent it to the earth, that's the lower spring. And that was his son, Yahushua. He said, give me the upper spring and the lower spring. Give me the Father and the Son. This virgin woman asked her father to give me the upper spring and the lower spring. Give me the Father and the Son. He said, my son and daughter, eat the honey. Eat the debash. And amazingly, what did debash equal to? 9. Why do you think Yahushua cried at the 9th hour? Because he was trying to tell you, I'm the honey. I am the honey. Debash. I am the honey. I'm the virgin. I am the honey. It's Luke or Yah 20, 41 to 44. But he said to them, how can they say that Mashiach is David's son? But David himself said in the book of Psalms, they know where it's at. They know the book and everything. Yahuwah said to my master, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool. David does call him Master Adon. So how is he his son? How is he David's son? How is Yahushua, Mashiach, David's son? Yuchanan 5, 19 through 20. So Yahushua said to them, truly I say to you, the son can do nothing of his own accord, but only what he see the Father doing. So how is he David's son? You see how fast he ran into the battle to fight the Philistine guy. Amazing, when he came down from the cross, Jonas put him in the tomb. Didn't Goliath said, he said, send a man down here to fight me. When he said, you be the son of Yahshua, come down from the cross, saying, that's Goliath telling him to come down. He finally came down, and guess what? Now he coming to fight death. I'm coming to fight death. And guess what he did on the third day? He arose and he beat death. It says, for whatever the Father does, the Son does likewise. That's why you think he's David's son. He's doing the same thing David did. For the Father loves the Son and shows him all that he himself is doing. And greater works than these will he show him, that you may marvel. I'm gonna show it to you. He's like, I'm gonna show it to you. I'm gonna show it to you. He said, and greater works than these. This is Aleph Ka, Peter 2, 11 through 12. Beloved, I urge you as sojourners and exiles, abstain from the passions of the flesh, which wage war against your soul. Keep your conduct honest among the Goyim Gentiles, honorable, so that they may be able to speak, so that when they speak against you as evildoers, they may see your good deeds and glorify Yahuwah in the day of visitation. Isn't that what David's brothers were trying? They were accusing him as an evildoer. But he had honorable behavior. He was doing it for his family. He said, whoever kills Goliath, man, you're going to get riches. Matter of fact, you're going to get his daughter, virgin daughter, and your whole household going to be free. Staying in liberty that Yahushua has made you free. He made you free. He killed Goliath. And you know what he's expecting to get? A virgin. You know what he's expecting to get? Riches. He's expecting that. He already made you free. Because, you gotta eat the honey. Because, he said, why bears eat honey? He said, why do you eat honey? 1 Timothy 4 and 12. Let no one despise your youth. You for your youth. He said, why? You humble yourself like a child. He said, you'll never enter the Malkut. You gotta become like a child. Like a child. He said, I'm gonna use the Father and the Son. I'm gonna use the stones. Forget that sword and I got abundance of stones. I'm gonna use stones. Let no one despise your youth, but set the believers an example in speech and in conduct and love, in amunah, faith, and purity. Why do you think David was using the stones and the staff in his hand? And he had the sling. He had Amunah. He had faith in the Father and the Son. He said, you come to me in the name of, if it's swords and knives, I come to you in the name of Yahuwah. That the whole earth in Yahshua, they may know it's Elohim in Yahshua. Because they didn't believe it. All right, this is the book of Yucatan 10, 25 to 30. Yahushua answered them, I told you, you do not believe. He's like, I'm telling you again. The works that I do in my Father's name bear witness about me. Why do you think he was operating just like David? But you do not believe because you are not among my sheep. Because you know what David did? He rescued them from lions and bears. He's like, man, you don't even know because you ain't around my sheep. My sheep, he said, I rescued my sheep from lions and bears out of their mouth. He said, my sheep hear my voice and I know them, they follow me. I give them eternal life and they will never perish. Why? Because they eat the honeycomb. And no one will be able to snatch them out of my hand. And you know, when somebody has sweet words and it's real sweet, amazingly when they put sweet ingredients inside of certain foods, you keep going right back to it. You never leave it. You keep eating it over and over and over and over again. And you know, he's like, where did you get that from? You keep going back to the stove, buy the same box, the same juice. Because it's sweet. He said, man, you never going to snatch them out of my hand. My Father has given them to me, and it's greater than all. And no one is able to snatch them out of my Father's hand. I and my Father are one, the Father and the Son. I'm Ben. That one stone, that's my Father and the Son. He said, I and my Father are one. Amazingly, it equals to one. You add up the Aleph and the Ben. You add the Ab, then you add up the Ben, you add them together, it equals to one. You get the 10 Sephirots, and you get the one. The crown that sits at the top. The Father and the Son. People say, well, he took 2 stones and he had them in his hand and he threw it at Goliath in his forehead. Why? Because you're supposed to have them in your forehead, frontless between your eyes. Let me throw them right there in your forehead. You hit the ground. You'll bow down. You'll bow down and repent. I'll throw it right in the middle of your forehead. Let it be frontless between your eyes. And you'll fall. You'll hit the ground and you'll repent. Goliath. And all you Goliaths in the world, whether male or female or child, you'll fall down and repent. Because you got to be a virgin. This Odes of Solomon, Ode Shaloma, ODE 33, 1 through 13. Basically, they got 33, 1 through 13. It says, but again, Khan was swift and repudiated the corrupter and descended upon him to renounce him. Right? That's where David descended from, to fight Goliath. And he caused utter destruction before him and corrupted all his construction. And he stood on the peak of the summit and cried aloud from one end of the earth to the other. Why he did that? Why do you think Yahushua cried out twice? And he said, why? Because David said that the whole world, earth, may know that there's an Elohim in Yahshua. There's an Elohim in Yahshua. Then he drew to him all who obeyed him. He said, my sheep hear my voice and they follow me. For he did not appear as the eagle. He said, man, show yourself an example that honest report on the going that they make as evil, speak evil of you as an evildoer. They can't do it. He said, I ain't appear as no evil one. Verse 5 says, however, the perfect virgin stood. What was David? The perfect virgin. That's what he was. He was the perfect virgin. David never fought no war before. He was a virgin. He was a virgin. He was a virgin out there keeping sheep. He was a virgin boy. A virgin young man. He was a virgin. Yahushua was a virgin. The son of man, son of Adam be lifted up. I'm going to draw all people to me. The son of Dawood will be lifted up. He was a perfect virgin, stood, who was preaching and summoning, saying, O ye sons of men, Adam, return, and you daughters, come. And abandon the ways of the corrupter and approach me, and I will enter into you. Eat the honey. Eat the debauch. Eat the honey. And bring you forth from destruction and make you wise in the ways of truth. Because wisdom flows like honey. Matter of fact, it flows like water too. Be not corrupted nor perish. Hear me and be saved. For I am proclaiming unto you the grace of Yahuwah, the Khan of Yahuwah. And through me you will be saved and become Barak. I am your judge. And they who have put me on will not be rejected, although the immersion in Yahushua have put him on. But they will possess incorruption in the new world. I saw a new Shamayim and a new earth. It says right here, my elect ones have walked with me. In my ways I have made known to them who seek me. And I shall promise them my name. He said, I promised them my name. This is 2nd Baruch, 4th Baruch, 6, Pseudepigrapha, volume 2, 5 through 8. And raising his eyes to Shamayim heaven, he prayed, saying, you are the Elohim who bestows a reward to those who love you. Prepare yourself, my heart. My heart rejoices, and be glad in your tabernacle. Why? Because know ye not that your body is the temple, the tabernacle, the Mikdash of Yahuwah? Saying to your fleshly dwelling, your sorrows have been turned into joy. Why? Because he did it for his family. He said, why would you not be turned into joy? He said, your whole family gonna be free. You have riches, and your whole family gonna be free. For the mighty one is coming and will raise you in your tabernacle. The dead of Mashiach are gonna rise first. He said, I'm gonna raise you up. Righteousness exalts a nation. I'm gonna raise you up. For has not taken root in you. It says, be refreshed within your tabernacle in your virgin Amunah, and believe that you will live. Virgin. Your faith in Yahushua Mashiach is your virginity. Your belief in him, your delighting in the sweet honey. He says, this is Psalms 103, 1 through 6. Bless Yahuwah, O my soul, and all that's within me. Barak his Kudash name. Barak Yahuwah, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. Who forgives all your iniquity. Who heals all your diseases. What was the honey he used for? The Bosch. All types of diseases. He said he's going to heal you. Who redeems your life from the pit. Who crowns you with steadfast love and mercy. Who satisfies you with good so that your youth is renewed like the eagles. Yahuwah's righteousness and justice for all who are oppressed. The word for benefits is gamul. It means what? Dealing, recompense, treatment. He said this is your treatment, benefit, good deed. He said your reward. This is Proverbs 25:16, 25 through 27. If you find honey, eat just enough. Too much of it, you will vomit. He said, what is it, honey? It's an antibacterial. But then also, he said, you will vomit it up. He said, he that believes on me, as the scripture said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. Where is it going to come from? Out of your mouth, which means you're going to be just like a bee. You're going to be just like a bee. And you're going to be putting it in a hexagon. And you're going to be, guess what? And other things are going to be eating it. You'll be feeding animals just like how Yahuwah told Adam to all feed animals. He said, you're going to vomit it up. Like cold water to a weary soul is good news from a distant land, just like rain and snow come down from Shamayim. Like a muddy spring or a polluted well mare, the righteous who give way to the wicked. Righteous give way to the wicked. Look at what it says, verse 17. It is not good to eat too much honey. Why? He said it ain't good to eat too much of it. Right? Nor is it honorable to search out matters that are too deep. Why? Because if you eat too much honey and you search out matters too deep, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be just like Yahuwah. He said a servant is no greater than the master. He said they hated me, they're going to hate you too. Ain't nothing honorable about it. They're going to hate you for it. Because you know why? Because it supersedes their religious belief. It supersedes their own knowledge. He made foolishness the wisdom of this world. That's why. They're going to hate you. They're going to hate you because you know it. They're going to hate you because you can say it. Because if you can vomit it out. And it can be sweet to the soul and health to the bones. And it can heal people. You think people are gonna like that? You're healing people. You think they won't like that? No, I need people not to be healed. I need people to stay in the state that their mindset they're in. I need Satan to keep causing doubt and error in people's minds so that they can never be free. That they'll never leap for joy. They'll never jump for joy. They'll never get up out. He said, get off out of the wheelchair and use their legs. They're not gonna do it. Why? Because Satan got a hold of their mind. Satan got a hold of their heart. He got a hold of their cranial nerves. He got a hold of their hands and their feet. He got a hold of their body. He said, man, this is freedom. This is the Emunah. This is the virgin Emunah right here. This is your virginity. This gives you life. This gives you understanding. Bina Kukma Da'a. But you know, people don't want to be hated. Because they don't want to vomit nothing out. They don't want to eat. I don't want to eat too much. Because they don't want to vomit it out. Because they know you're going to be hated. And ain't going to be nothing honorable about it. Right? So we're going to finish this 2 Corinthians 11:1. I wish you would bear with me in my foolishness. Do bear with me. Because I know if you're like, oh, this ain't as long as before. I mean, I usually go for a little longer. It ain't even been over an hour and something. But it says, do bear with me. For I feel a divine jealousy for you. Since I betroth you to one husband to present you a pure virgin to Yahushua Mashiach. Pure Emunah. Virgin Emunah. Because the perfect virgin stood up. But I am afraid that as the serpent deceived Kawud by his cunning, because he used words, he enters into your senses. He comes in your body like a parasite. Not like a parasite, he come in there like hepatitis. He come in there with, he say, gut disease. He come in your body through your hands and your feet. Unwash your hands. Sicknesses in the body. He deceives your senses and your thoughts, your eye diseases. He throws out your vision, your hearing. He says, but I am afraid, as the serpent deceived Kawud, because where is he at in her mind? By his cunning, your thoughts will be led astray. Because he enters in your thoughts and he puts in your thoughts. That's what's led astray. It ain't got nothing to do with your body. Your thoughts are led astray. From the sincere, pure devotion to Yahushua Mashiach, to your betrothal. Pure Emunah. Virgin Emunah. You're supposed to have virgin Emunah to Yahushua Mashiach, which means you shouldn't desire anything else. That's the only thing. This is 1 Corinthians 6:16. But do you not know that he who is joined to a prostitute becomes one body with her? For as it is written, the two will become one flesh. But he who is joined to the master has become one ruach with him. What would David said? He said, if you be killed this giant, this Goliath, you're going to get my virgin daughter for a wife. And you'll get riches, and your family going to be free. So he did it all for his family. It says, flee sexual immorality, because you are a virgin. You got to have virgin Emunah in Yahushua Mashiach. Anything outside of that is adultery. If you have any virgin Emunah with any other being outside of Yahushua Mashiach, if you have any Emunah in any other thing, any other Elohim, any other God, guess what? It's adultery. Every other sin a person commits outside the body. But sexual immorality, a person sins against his own body. But do you not know that your body is a temple of the Kudash Ruach within you, whom you have from Yahuwah? You are not your own. For you were bought with a price. I paid the price. He paid the price. I killed Goliath. I conquered Kirjath Sefer. And he said, and guess what? You got springs of living water. I beat him. I defeated death. So therefore, kabod Yahuwah in your body. Lifting up your hands, jumping out of the chair. What did he do? What did he jump out of the wheelchair and do? He leaped for joy. He said, Yahuwah delivered me from my affliction. He delivered me from who I was. He delivered me from my old life. He delivered me and he gave me riches. He made me free. He brought me to Yahushua Mashiach, my betrothal. And guess what? It don't say that Daud, we don't have that, he knew the woman that he won. Nah. All this is a part of his life. And he did it for his family. And that's, he said, do you believe that you are part of Yahuwah's family? Do you believe Yahushua said, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst. He said, do you believe that you are part of my family? Right, that's what he's saying. Do you believe? Yeshayahu 59:15. Truth is lacking, and he who departs from evil makes himself a prey. You're going to be a prey. Because Satan wants you. He said, why Satan wants you? He only wants Yahushua Mashiach's sheep. That's all he wants. Satan only wants Yahushua Mashiach's sheep. And he wants your mind. That's all he wants. He just wants your mind. He wants to take your mind and he can take over your body. Aleph Kaf 5 and 8. That's why Yahushua was able to, he said, I delivered for the lion and the bear. Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary Satan prowls around like a roaring lion seeking someone to devour. He's a lion. He's trying to take over your mind. And once he gets you in his mouth, he's going to take over your body. He's going to take you places. And he's going to make you do things. And you're going to be doing things away from Yahushua Mashiach and his life and his steps. 2 Timothy 2:19. But Yahushua Mashiach firm foundation stands, bearing this seal. Yahuwah knows them that are his, and let everyone who names the name of Master depart from iniquity. Depart from that. And he said, eat honey. He said, eat honey. Right, so the last couple slides. It says, this Dead Sea Scrolls, column 6, 4Q257. These are the paths in the world to enlighten the heart of man. Straighten out in front of him all the paths of true justice. Establish in his heart respect for the precepts of Elohim and the Ruach of meekness. Because the people, when you Mashah, they came Mashah, they didn't speak to him with any type of respect. Establish in his heart true respect for the precepts of Elohim and the Ruach of meekness, of patience, generous compassion, eternal goodness, intelligence, understanding, potent wisdom, which trusts in all the deeds of Elohim. Yahuwah depends on his abundant mercy. The same thing with David. All the deeds that he did. A ruach of knowledge in all plans of action, and of enthusiasm decrees with justice and set apart plans and firm purpose and generous compassion with all the sons of truth. Everybody, sons and daughters and children of magnificent purity, which detests all unclean idols. I think Goliath cursed them by his idols, by his gods. Of careful behavior and wisdom concerning everything. Everything. Of concealment concerning the truth and the mysteries of knowledge. These are the foundations of the sons and daughters of truth in the world. And the reward of those who walk in it will be healing. My son, eat the dabash. Daughter, eat the dabash. Eat the honeycomb. For it'll be healing to your body. Matter of fact, if you find it, you'll find a future too. It'll be health to your body. Pleasant words are honeycomb, sweet to the soul and health to the bones. Health. It'll be healing for you. Plentiful peace in a long life is going to extend your life. People say, why natural things? You can't understand spiritual things. Fruitful offspring with an everlasting barak. What do you think Daud was to his father Yeshai? Fruitful offspring. He went from being, he had keeping his father's sheep, then he got riches, he got a daughter. Then he delivered his family, made him free. He's a fruitful offspring with all everlasting blessings, eternal enjoyment with endless life, and a crown of abode with majestic raiment and eternal life. However, the ruach of deceit belongs greed. Why do you think Goliath and them will come in to fight with Yasharal? Sluggish in the service of justice. Why do you think Daud ran out to the battlefield? Because he wasn't sluggish. He said, I'm going to execute judgment. Why do you think Yahushua ran out? The wickedness, falsehood, pride, haughtiness of heart, dishonesty, trickery, cruelty, much insecurity, impatience, much foolishness. Isn't that what David's brother had? Much insecurity, much foolishness, impudent enthusiasm for appalling acts performed in lustful passion, filthy passion in the service of impurity, blasphemous tongue, blindness of eyes. Isn't that what honey heals? The honey heals your blindness of eyes. Hardness of hearing. You only heal hearing diseases. Stiffness of neck, hardness of heart, in order to walk in the path of darkness and evil cunning. That's the only reason people do it. He said, why would they ignore it? He said, why would somebody ignore this? So they can walk in the path of darkness and evil cunning. He said, darkness. And then you understand, Yahushua died for your sins. People saying, why? From the 6th to the 9th hour was darkness of the land that he cried out just for you. He said, and the visitation of those who walk in it will be abundance of afflictions at the hand of the Malachia, of destruction, of the eternal damnation, by the scorching wrath of Elohim that revenges, for permanent terror and shame, without end, with humiliation, of destruction of the fire of the dark regions, and of all the ages of the generations. They shall spend in bitter weeping and harsh evils in the abyss of the darkness until destruction, without there being a remnant or survival for them. Why do you think when they killed Goliath, all the people fled and then they killed everybody else? Everybody else. Right, this is 2nd Enoch. This is Enoch 94:3-5. And now I say to you, the righteous, do not walk in the path of the wicked in violence, nor in the path of death, and do not approach them, lest you be destroyed. But love or choose yourselves righteousness and a pleasing life, and walk in the paths of peace, so that you may live and have joy. Didn't he say that he took away your reproach that you may have joy? And hold fast to my words in your thoughts. Because this is your pure virgin Amunah. He said, hold fast in my words in your thoughts of your heart. Why? Because this is your virgin Amunah. You're supposed to be a virgin to Yahushua Mashiach. And do not let them be eradicated. Don't let them be taken from your mind. Don't let Satan take them. And don't let them be destroyed. Or you be like, you gotta be like David. Why? What did he say? You come to defy their armies at Yasharal. That's what you gotta say to Satan. Why? Because he was coming to eradicate Yasharal. For I know that sinners will deceive men and treat wisdom wickedly. Does not wisdom flow like water? Does not wisdom flow like honey? Debauch? Does it not flow like honey and debauch? So that she will not find no place. He said, if you allow me to be in you, he said, you'll get joy in your heart. He said, when the true virgin stood up, the true virgin has stood up, so that she will not find a place. Guess what he said? And all kinds of temptations will not cease. This is why temptations don't cease within your heart, in your mind, in your life, in your thoughts. Because you're allowing the words to be eradicated by Satan in your mind. That's why it won't cease. He said, do you believe? He said, do you believe? This is mostly Proverbs 16:31. Gray hair is a crown of Kabod, and is gained through a righteous life. Whoever is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his ruach than he who takes a city. You'll be even stronger than the man who took Kirjath Sephir to get the virgin joy. Because if you're ruling your ruach, that means you have the same Amunah that was in Yahushua Mashiach. And if you have the same Amunah that's in Yahushua Mashiach, that means you're a virgin Amunah, just like he had virgin. He's a virgin. Verse 33, the lot is cast in the lap, but every decision is from Yahuwah. This is wisdom of Solomon, Kukum Shishaluma 4:8-9. For honorable age is not that withstanding length of time, nor in measure the number of years. That's why Daud was sitting there, and he was a young man. He was, how you say, it's not measuring the number of years. Remember, he said, this ain't honorable to search out stuff deep. Matter of fact, don't eat too much of it. You may vomit it out. He said, they're going to hate you. They hate me. They're going to hate you too. They hated Daud. You see how his brothers hate him? He said, they're going to hate you too. You think them sisters ain't hate him? He said, just like a harlot hates a virtuous woman. Just like the rich and the poor. They hate you too. They're going to hate you too. He said, I don't want to be hated. And you're in the wrong walk. He said, the wrong walk. He said, you're following the wrong person. You might just let Satan and them come eat you up. For honorable age is not with what stand the length of time, nor in measure the number of years. But wisdom is the gray hair unto men, and an unspotted life is old age. How you mean? That's a perfect virgin. That's That's what David was. He was a perfect virgin. That's why he stood up. That's why Yahushua stood up on the cross in totality. Perfect virgin. Sirach 6, 18 through 19. My son, gather instruction from thy youth, and you shall find wisdom in thine old age. And when Daud, my father, Yeshai was an old man, but yet Daud was young, and yet he had wisdom more than his brothers. Come unto her as one that ploweth and soweth, and wait for her good fruits. Just like we waiting for the sun to get to a higher and higher state, so shall we wait for the good fruits to come inside of our life. But thou shalt not toil much in laboring about her, but thou shalt eat the fruits right soon. You gotta believe it. I'm gonna put my fruits gonna come. Kindness, Ahab, joy, peace, patience, meekness, temperance, amunah, forgiveness. I'm gonna be fruitful, multiply. I'm gonna help whatever I'm a part of to grow. I'm gonna put forth seed. I'm going to help. Why? Because you gotta be fruitful and multiply. He said fruitful and multiply. It wasn't that David was helping his father, and he sent him out. And what did he do? He said, bring some bread, some cheese, find some word. And then he even increased his house even more by beating Goliath. He increased it even more. This Wisdom of Solomon 8, 1 through 16, 17 and 18. It says, now, when I consider these things in myself and pondered them in my heart, how to be allied with wisdom is immortality. Wisdom flow like honey. Wisdom flow like water. To be joined to them in your body is immortality, both naturally and spiritually. And great pleasure is to have her friendship. And in the works of her hands are infinite riches. Why do you think David, he said, man, you're going to get a virgin daughter, you're going to get riches, and your whole family going to be free. Isn't that what he did for his family? And in exercise of her conference with her, prudence, and in talking with her, a good report, I went about seeking how to take her to me. He's like, how you going to get her? He's like, I got to kill Goliath. I got to take a whole city, Kirjathim. Matter of fact, I got to rule my whole Ruach. And I kill the giants in my life. And that may be hatred, jealousy, envy, strife, complaining, criticism, pride, mumbling, grumbling, complaining, laziness, slackness, procrastination. These are all giants. Fornication, adultery, malice, hatred, right? Slander, gossip. These are all giants. How you say demons? You gotta you gotta beat your giants. You gotta beat your demons. Parasites, sicknesses, all the things that take over people's body because they want to, he said, do what's profitable for their inner being, both naturally and spiritually. All these are all part of it. These are all giants in our life. Malice, forsaking farming, husbandry, shepherding, shepherdesses, don't want to water the sheep, don't want to water the flock, don't want to do anything. He said what? These are all giants. Because David didn't do that. Daud didn't do that. Rebecca didn't do that. Sarah didn't do that. Abraham didn't do that. Abraham didn't do that. Yahushua didn't do that. They didn't do these things. These people got eternal life. Abraham, you said in your code. Adam. It says, in exercising confidence in her prudence, and in talking with her a good report. And I went about seeking her to have her to me, bring it to me. This is Nazarene, Acts of the Shalakim, chapter 15, how demons get power with men. Therefore demons, as we have just said, when once they have been able, by means of opportunities, offered to them convey themselves through base and evil actions in the bodies of men, women, and children, if they remain in them a long time through their own negligence. Why? We talk about eating honey, but that's just a natural form, but we see eating this honey. This debauch. They stay in your body of your own negligence. People say, they got everything to do with people. You see people sick. You see somebody sick. You see somebody in a certain state of mind. You see somebody in actions and things. That ain't got nothing to do with nobody else but themselves. That's their own negligence. Because the demons got hold of their body. That's their own fault. Because they do not seek after what is profitable for their inner being. They do not seek after what is profitable for their inner being. That's their fault. They necessarily compel them in the future to fulfill the desires of the demons that dwell in them. Just like any other diseases in the body, they create the atmosphere so they can stay alive. Just like any disease in the body or any cravings or anything like that. They create the atmosphere so they can stay alive. That's the only reason, because they need your body to be a host in order to stay alive. But if it dies, they can't stay in. They come out the drought. They come out your butt. Right? Just like an animal who defecates on the ground, and a lot of things that come out. All that stuff, it comes out of you. It comes out of your pores. It comes out of your skin. It comes out of your nose. It comes out of your mouth. All of it comes out of you. But what is worse, at the end of the age, when the demons were co-signed the ageless fire of necessity, the Ruach also that obeyed him will with him be tortured in ageless fire together with this body he has polluted. Because it's a CDC. You ever seen the CDC when something's sick? When you're not a virgin, you're known a man. Because remember, he said, we talked about a pale horse. Their face is pale because all they bring is death. Because they are sick. So Yahuwah going to throw them in the fire like the CDC and torture. Just like any other disease you see in the world. They're trying to keep everything in a quarantine type way. Why? It's the same thing. It's the same exact thing. Same thing. Right? This is the Proverbs 3:19-26. Yahuwah by wisdom founded the earth, and by understanding he established the heavens. By his knowledge the deeps broke open, and the clouds dropped down dew. We just talked about it. Remember, we talked about dew. Hey man, he said your teeth can drop down like the dew. He's like, yeah, just like that. He said in the beginning it did that, like a mist. He's like, man, that thing just came out of nowhere. My son Adam, do not lose sight of these things. These, and keep sound wisdom and discretion. Keep that honey. Keep that water. And they will be light to your soul and adornment to your neck. Then you will walk in your way securely. And your foot will not stumble. You ain't going to stumble to the kingdom. And you ain't going to be held back. You stumbling. He said, you ain't going to stumble in no kingdom. If you keep these in your mind, you ain't going to stumble. If you lie down, you will not be afraid, man. You ain't going to be afraid of no lion, no bear. You ain't going to be afraid of no reptilian, no shape-shifting demon. You ain't going to be afraid of no archons. You ain't going to be afraid of no weapons of war, no swords and knives, no stealth bombers, no tanks. You ain't going to be afraid of no AK-47s. Man, you ain't going to be afraid of none of this stuff. You ain't going to be afraid of no economic collapses and all these things that are going to happen. You ain't going to be afraid of no invasions from Malachi, portals open. You ain't going to be afraid of no Hadron Collider, no black holes and no portals. You ain't going to be afraid of this stuff. You ain't going to be afraid of none of this stuff. Winged creatures and all these beings out here. Clones, robots, reptoid, AI technology. You're not going to be afraid of that. If you don't lose sight at the beginning. Because what did David use to fight? He only used the stones. He used the things Yahuwah created. He only used the things that Yahuwah made. And he said, you come to me with all that stuff. He said, you know what? I just come in the name of Yahuwah. And I'm going to use the very most basic thing that Yahuwah made, and I'll beat you. He said, when you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. Do not be afraid of sudden terror and the ruin of the wicked when it comes. For Yahuwah will be your confidence and will keep your foot from being caught. He said, where your confidence at? Your Amunah, your virgin Amunah. Right? This is the Essene book of Yahusha, Sevenfolds of Shalom. Barak is the child of light who is wise in his mind, for he shall create the Shamayim. The mind of the wise is a well-plowed field. It's a well, because it's in your thoughts. That's where all of it's at. Which giveth forth abundance and plenty. For if thou showest a handful of seeds to a wise man or woman, he will see in his mind an eye of golden wheat. If thou showest a handful of seeds to a fool, he will see only that which is before him. He will only see that which is before him. Right? And it says, he will see only in mind's eye of golden wheat. And if thou showest a handful of seeds to a fool, he will only see what is before him, and call them worthless pebbles. That's what they're going to say. Just like this is seed sowing time. As the field of the wise man giveth forth grain in abundance, and in the field of the fool is a harvest of only stones, so it is with our thoughts. You say harvest only stones. Amazingly, the very thing that David harvested from the ground was stones. And he threw it in his forehead, in the head of that fool. In the head of the fool. You could tell what he was actually I say yielding, just by what he spoke. And he threw that stone right in his head. It says, the sheaf of the golden wing lies hidden within the kernel, so is the Malkuth of Shamayim hidden within our thoughts, in our consciousness, in our thoughts. If they be filled with the power of love and hukmah of the Malachim of Shamayim Father, so will they carry us to the heavenly seat. But if it be stained with corruption and hatred and ignorance, they shall chain our feet to pains and siffer. No man can serve two masters. You can't. You can't serve two masters. Why do you think David went to fight the Philistine? Because he said, if you kill me, we'll be your servant. But if I kill you, you'll be our servant. We can't serve two masters. We only can serve one, the Elohim Yahuwah, who says in the highest Shamayim. He said, I'm going to take you down, and that the world may know, that the earth may know, there is an Elohim in Yasharal. And we don't serve no other gods. No man can serve two masters. Neither can the evil thought abide in the mind of the light, filled with the light of the Torah. He who have found shalom, peace with his mind, have learned to soar beyond the realm of the Malachim. Know the shalom with thy heart. Fulfill the shalom with thy body. So you can say, it is finished. It is finished. Just like it was in the beginning. Right? Aleph Yukanah 1, 2, 24 through 27. Let what you heard from the beginning abide in you. And if what you heard from the beginning abide in you, then you too will abide in the Son and in the Father. This is the promise that he has made to us, eternal life. I write these things about those who are trying to deceive you. There's a lot of people who are trying to deceive you. Because Yahuwah should come back for a virgin. He done paid the bridal price. He done conquered the city. He done ruled his ruach, and he done killed Goliath. And guess what he coming back for? He said, man, you gonna get my daughter. He coming for a virgin. He coming back for a virgin, a Bethula. Because he the perfect virgin that stood up. The perfect virgin that stood up. He said, I'm gonna go fight this Philistine. He the perfect virgin that stood up. Because he said, deceive you. He said, who are trying to deceive you. But the anointing that you have received in him abides in you. It's like the mist. Once he said, I ain't never made it rain. He said, it's like the mist. It just happens automatically. It's like the dew that come on the ground in the morning time. It's already in you. It's already in you. It abides in you, and you have no need that anyone should teach you. Why? Because the mist, the dew is on the ground. It comes up. It's like fog. You ever seen the fog? Fog comes up from the ground and it covers the whole sky, right? That's the dew. That's like the dew. That's like water vapors. But as his anointing teaches you about everything, and it's true, and it's no lie, just as it has taught you, abide in him. That's what he said. Abide in him. Last slide. Right, this is Old Solomon, ODE 35, 1 through 7. The sprinkling of Yahuwah overshadowed me. It's like this rain and snow that come down with serenity, and it caused a cloud of peace to stand over my head. Just like rain and snow come down from Shamayim, it comes from a cloud. He says, over my cloud. He said, if the son of Adam be lifted up, I'm going to draw people to myself. Why do you think he was a cloud? He was a cloud over the people. It's over my head, that it might guard me at all times, and it became my salvation to me. Because when rain and snow come down, it allow you to grow. Everyone was disturbed and afraid, and there flowed from them smoke and judgment. Why do you think when David said he was going to war, he said they were scared, they were afraid, and they were casting judgment at him? You wicked child, you wicked son. You left those few sheep. I see your mischief in your heart. He said they were afraid. They cast smoke and judgment. Why? Because they hate you. Because you got a cloud over your head that's protecting you. You keep watering you. But I was tranquil in Yahuwah's legion. Why do you think Yahushua ain't say nothing? In Yahuwah's legion. He said, Abraku kanaf halakua. He said, in Yahuwah's reason. He said, you're going to see me coming in the clouds. He said, more than shade. He said, more than shade was he to me, and more than foundation. And I was carried like a child by its mother, and he gave me milk. The dew of Yahuwah. He said, he gave me milk. He said, man, he said, just like the honey, the bees and the honeycomb, just like a mother who produces milk for the children she loves. So my soul hope for you, Yahuwah. He said, like the dew of Yahuwah. And I grew strong in his favor. and rested in his perfection. You mean the perfect virgin? I rested in his perfection, the perfect virgin. And I extended my hands in the ascent of myself. And I directed myself near the Most High. What do you mean? Because he lifted your hands. It's like a tree branch that goes up when the sun comes up. You lift your hands that the trees reach. And I directed myself near the Most High Yahuwah. And I was saved near him. I was saved near him. Why? You know, you see a child hold their hands up to their father. When they want you to pick them up, and they hold their hands up. And they hold their hands up to their father. They want to pick them up, and they put their hands up. And the father just looked down at them. And what did he get? He grabs his two hands, and he picks up the child by his arms, and he lifts him up and brings him to him, right? You see his two hands? That's the Father and the Son. That's the Father and the Son. And he picks him up, and he lifts him up in the air, and he brings him to himself. That's the Father and the Son. He lifted him up with that. He said, he's like a cloud over my head. He said, if you don't humble yourself like a child, and become like this child, he said, you will not enter the kingdom of Shamayim. He said, you will never enter into it. He said, you will never enter into it. So we look at all this, we look at the understanding, we look at the Binah Chumah Da'af, we look at Yahushua Mashiach, we look at the pure virgin that stood up and won the battle. But also we understand, he said, just like rain and snow, just like honey that flowing honey. Just like Nafat, just like the Bosh, just like the honeycomb. He said, so shall the bar be that goes out of his mouth. Just like bees that vomit inside of a hexagon. Knowing that all these circumferences and the intelligence of Yahuwah and how he formed and shaped every single creature on the planet with this intellect and knowledge and understanding, Yahuwah has no pleasures in fools. Like he said, he has no pleasure in ignorant people. He has no pleasure in stupid people. Knowing that all these things he gave was for man to return back to him and to live in perfect harmony with all creatures of the earth and to understand it and to look at all things not just as something he created, but something that one can learn from. So we look at all the things that Yahushua did, look at his life and understanding. We know that in the end, all those who walk, even as he walked, will enter in as he entered in. The same Ruach being you, which is also in Yahushua Mashiach, shall also quicken your mortal body with the Father and the Son. And it will lift you up, and you will be with him in the air. So the meek shall inherit the earth. The meek will inherit the earth.